days, counting all the ways I died. Everything I couldn't save, buried down, still half alive. It's got me crawling in my skin, but no one's coming out to hold me close. Pouring out the gasoline, yeah, I've been making friends with all these ghosts, and I got nothing left to lose. Fight to the future.
Try to make yourself remember, darling. Don't look for me, I'm just a story you've been told. So let's pretend a little longer, 'cause when we're gone, everything goes on. You were staring at the window, and I said, I wanna take you to the sea. And when I'm better, we'll do everything. I gotta stop making promises I can't keep. But if I was gone tomorrow, won't the waves crash on? Is it selfish that I'm happy as we pass the setting sun? Someday I'll be overcast, but you won't have to cry, 'cause we'll do the grieving while I'm by your side. I said scared of getting used to this. All the vines that keep you tethered in your room. Well, someday both of us are leaving here, but for now I'll just bring this seed to you. Will you meet me in the daylight like we did before? Then I felt you on my shoulder and you weren't suffering anymore. You said I'm sorry that you worry, but don't apologize. I told you to forget me, but you stayed by my side when I said, don't try to make yourself remember, darling. Don't look for me, I'm just a story you've been told. So let's pretend a little longer, and when we're gone,
The high-octane League of Legends action continues with another weekend of the North American Challengers League qualifiers. GSL stage number 2. While the games get more fun going on, the titles certainly get longer here. But we do have an elimination matchup for you guys here on Aegis. Nigel's Last Tiles taking on ISU, Illinois State University, the Redbirds here. One of these two teams is done in the qualifiers here. Certainly going to be exciting, but I'm more excited to be alongside my man TDS once again. TDS, it feels like we get one of these every, what do we want to call it, half year at this point?
Yeah, it feels like it's occasional, but it does happen, and I'm glad that when it's not with Gordo, which feels like at this point my main co-caster is later. It's just at home, feels like pretty much. So I'm glad that we get this opportunity to be here, and yeah, we should up the number of times we cast together. Feels like it's not enough. Like once a year, it's simply not enough for us to cast together.
I'm sure we'll certainly find more avenues for that, TDS, but what we won't find more avenues for is space for either of these teams to really play around with, right? ISU, they're coming off of, I believe, just to make sure I had this right, Group B. This is a Group B look-in. ISU come off a 2-0 loss. They got swept out by Polestar. It was pretty commanding, but then on the other side, Nigel's Last Tiles also got arguably swept out a little rougher by Blue Otter. So both these teams, you know, so far GSL not really been too impressive, and they're going to have to find a way to beat tonight.
Exactly. The 2-0 record, or being 2-0 to start off the tournament, is not always the ideal way to try and show yourself off. That being said, technically speaking, they were against two of the stronger teams, pretty much, since they are in Group B. So they were facing Blue Otter and Polestar, teams that are no slouches at all. And I think everyone can have a bad start. The important part, though, is how you turn around your initial matches, and I think both of these teams do have something in them to try and pull it off. They have good pieces to try and work with. The only issue is being consistent at working with those pieces, and I think that this sort of elimination match where the pressure is onto you could eventually made it up so that both of these teams can try and build onto something. But we'll have to wait and see how they proceed, because whoever loses here is out, and there's no second chances after that.
Couldn't have said it better myself there, TDS. But looking back at the road as we are getting set here to get into this draft for both of these squads, obviously Nigel's Last Tiles, they were seeded the 24th seed, so the committee thought that they would not end up making it here, and the one way they did end up doing that was knocking down, I believe, or actually they were on the 24 seed, but they were seeded not to make the GSL stage. They take down UCI to get here. They get to that 2-2 match that everybody loves, and they take down Option 33 to solidify their spot here. But on the other side, TDS, this ISU Redbird squad, if we're talking about the last qualifier, their bar for expectations might be higher than bowing out this early in the second GSL stage.
Exactly. It's not the way that you want to try and put yourself off in the best manner possible. Obviously, they have expectations, and I think the fact that Collegiate has kind of elevated their level has made it so that people have a bit of higher expectations on other collegiate teams apart from the main state or the staple ones like MU and all those others. So I think that ISU needs to try and step up to follow suit onto that sort of expectation. That being said, is not easy. Like, there's collegiate teams that have been building themselves for super long, and I think that ISU is in that process. Maybe this sort of experience where you get eliminated early on can have a positive impact looking forward into the future OQ, since even after this two OQ tournament cycle and elimination tournament, there's going to be more OQs for this team to try and show themselves. But ISU certainly, the expectation was a bit higher to what people had in their minds, and I think that this is probably going to be a good wake-up call to what they are able to achieve.
Yeah, and obviously they're going to be able to go right into that CLOL season as that will heat up as well. So this is a ton of League of Legends action for any CLOL team involved in these OQs at the current moment here. So yeah, I mean, when we talk about play styles for these squads, I know we don't know a ton about Nigel's last tiles because they are a team that kind of formulated towards the end of the second OQ. But when it comes to ISU, if there's one thing that I've seen that they go to a lot that works really well but can crash and burn, this is definitely a squad that likes to try and lean on heavy scaling in their damage carries department. And luckily for them, TDS, I would argue that patch 14.5 has a lot of great options in that department.
Exactly. There's a lot of good options that you can try and go for. Obviously, the more clear one, the one that everyone is now hating, because the champion is absurd to a certain degree. Smaller feels like the most clear-cut champion to try and put our eyes into. Then you have the, not brother, but the other dragon champion, Aurelion Sol, also can be quite a messy scaling champion. But I feel like we've seen the resurgence of some of these scaling AD carries as well with the help of some of the changes. Like, even though it's not at their strongest and there's people obviously criticizing the point where some of the AD carries are, we've seen the resurgence of Seri pretty much. I know Kai'Sa has had a lot of builds that have been built onto her, and it feels like she's scaling much better. Then you also have Jinx that I think has popped her head up to a certain degree. So I think there's good ways to try and play this sort of scaling champions. Even in top lane, you can go for Jax to have some value there. You can also opt into, well, Twisted Fate technically I would say is a scaling champion, since you do build him with a lot of damage around him. But the AP option still is alive to a certain degree, not comparable, but it's still alive. So I do think that scaling wise, there's avenues to try and boost your team as much as possible. Will that work out though? It's the main question, because you may go for scaling, but if a team knows how to punish that early on, that's where you're going to find issues.
Yeah, that is certainly where I would feel, as I was one of the people that got to watch that ISU versus Polestar series, that I felt they kind of came flat on, is that when they got to that mid game, kind of just got bullied in those first team fights, couldn't hit those scaling points. But we are live with this game number 1 draft. You've got the Illinois State Redbirds on the blue side because they were the higher seeded team in this matchup. And out the gate, they're actually going to take away the baby dragon from the hands of Nigel's last tiles. And before we get too far in this draft, I'm going to remind everybody now, these qualifiers are fearless. So every pick you see from these two squads in game 1, out the gate going forward.
Also, quickly to mention, if I'm not wrong, Seer is disabled as well in the OQ. So we're not going to see the Birdman himself, at the very least for now, until there's a change in the box that he's facing. So that's probably why we're not going to see much of the Birdman, as the rest of the champions are coming through and focus towards the mid lane quite a bit. Wei and Ariana, we're talking about the scaling champion potential. This two scales really, really well. And then the remaining champions, we may see a bit of attention into the jungle as well, just because there's couple of good champions here and there that you can try and find value, but the Nico, so they are trying to pinch the mid lane pool as much as possible, it seems. Yeah,
they really are. It's funny, right? We've gone to a whole new season. Everyone talks about season 14 is like the closest we're going to get to League of Legends 2 with how Riot has changed the game. But no matter what, it is inevitable that I've seen Orianna's Syndra matchup still come back every single series I do. So luckily, we won't see at least the Orianna for this game number 1. We do see only one real jungle ban, as the Ivern is a respect ban thrown out. The Ashe taken away, that's a good B1 the Redbirds can go to. But there are a ton of great jungle picks you can go to if you are the Redbirds here.
There's still quite a few good options. I'm thinking about as well for first pick. The Varus still open. Lucian has been a favorite of a lot of AD carries, so that's an option. Senna as well. If you take her, you have a myriad of options to throw into the support pool, and there's also good ways to try and play around her. So Senna makes complete perfect sense here. As the other side, the Karma typically one of the champions that we've seen the most. Ezreal as well, even though we haven't seen as much of him as I thought we were going to get, he's still a pretty strong champion and a perfect pairing with the Karma. So the pick and ban phase is going quite fast, and teams seems to know what they like to go for. I hope that it's not a Nautilus for the Senna bot lane, but I think that it's kind of one of the favorite pairings for a lot of the players out there.
Yeah, the double support item is having a weird effect again now, so that throws a wrench in kind of what you want to do with Senna. I do know farming Senna has also been a lot more popular recently, just getting her into that position instead of going the more, focus on the souls, focus on farming, get the itemization. Yeah. The Seraphine going to be locked in.
I like this pairing.
Yeah, there's a lot of flexibility, though. I wanted to say really quickly, for the Ezreal Karma matchup, like, that was right when the season came. Like, that was the creme de la creme bottom lane. Ezreal has kind of taken a couple hits in these recent patches, gone down to some other AD carries, and then Karma's gone to the mid lane. So I actually am curious to see how this draft folds out in the second phase, TDS, because I think you could still argue that that could be a Seraphine mid and a Karma mid as much as they are potentially in that support role.
Exactly, and I love that you bring up the potential flex, because technically speaking, right, this sack as well could be flex between jungle and top lane. There's a good opportunity to try and flex a couple of champions here, and I like that neither team is revealing their hand as much as possible. That's why we see the attack onto the mid lane champion still, because there's ways that maybe this Karma goes bot lane, but could also go into the mid lane, and you want to take the good matchups that can go against her. As we see the Ari ban, Syndra, like you were mentioning, could be another ban, and I'm feeling the Corki as well, just because of the poke potential. But I think ISU should try and ban away the Corki, because Corki, Karma, Ezreal doesn't sound like a found trio to go against with all that poke. Even if you have a lot of healing, that's still a lot of poke that you have to deal with. So I'm expecting to see something like that getting banned away. And I like the combination from ISU as well to play the Vi Seraphine Senna, because you have really long range engage with the Vi being able to press the R and go ahead, but also have the follow-up with the Seraphine to be able to just completely go forward there. As we see, that's not a mistake. They missed the ban.
Yeah, that's certainly tough. So we'll see if hopefully they don't have to fully reboot this draft at any point. I'm sure the teams are in communication about exactly what that ban was supposed to be. Maybe we'll find out down the line. I mean, maybe it's a Syndra, I don't know, but you go back to your point you're talking about. The Yone ban is kind of top as much mid lane focused in my opinion, but this is a serious pinch onto both Elias and Drew Dozer. We talk about Fearless, right? A lot of players have to show off all these pocket picks, these things they've been cooking for those game 3s, potential game 5s to make it far enough. I'm not used to having game 1s already pinch people's pools this much.
True, exactly. It's going to be quite a lot of attacks, and maybe it's because of the fear factor that you begin to see this sort of pinching onto a lot of the pools, but it attack quite a lot into what the players do like, and Tristana getting picked here, so there's now another AD carry out on top of this. The scaling for ISU, like you were bringing up, going to be quite impactful for this game. I feel like they need to close it out with a tank, because they don't have a front line that can soak up a lot of the damage. Even if they have great healing, they need to have someone to soak up the long range damage, but they don't feel like it's going to be the Gwen. This is a squishy comp by ISU, a really squishy comp.
Yeah, so this is definitely going to be a big Udyr Zach game. No matter where we know they're going, they're going to be able to kind of frontline all they want. I know Drew Dozer did play a Tristana game in the series, lost to Polestar, so that's definitely a comfort pick for him. The Gwen does at least fill the need of AP damage, because we know that Seraphine is going bottom lane, so it's likely going to be like the Moonstone Renewer Seraphine, the one that's super supportive oriented. So you do fill out the AP damage with the Gwen. You do double check or triple check the scaling box in Redbird fashion here. But yeah, like you mentioned, if this Udyr and Zach are able to get to tankier item points quick enough, I don't know how you're able to protect this Seraphine, this Senna. And then you get into the arguments of, all right, if those guys are getting peppered, this Vi and Gwen might get left out on the hook going forward, because Vi is not a peeling champion, TDS.
Exactly. You want to go forward, and I think that the idea of having the Vi and the Gwen, it's not about a bad combo to try and play with if you want to go forward. The issue is that you do have champions that want to go forward, but you also have champions that want to go backwards. So I think that even though the idea is there and not necessarily bad, there might be a slight conflict of the overall way that you want to play the game coming in from ISU. And once again, even though there's ways to play around not having a tank, the issue is that your composition is really squishy. And the healing from both the Seraphine and the Senna do take quite a while to begin stacking up effectively. Whereas the poke from the Ezreal, the poke from the Karma, even to a certain degree, the Twisted Fate damage can stack up really early on, and if you don't have anyone to soak up the damage, you're more than likely going to be suffering in really early fights, as there's double smite. Sorry for the spoiler and for trying to, but I just got surprised by that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so, wow.
This is interesting. I like it. I love this sort of potential theory craft.
All right, there's no okay, so this is real. Double smite. Yeah, so Nodal is rocking smite alongside Evan Lai. So there's double smite towards the top side. You know, I will hold comments until I see it in action because I firmly believe the coaching staffs of these squads know more than a hard stuck mid elo play-by-play caster. So we'll see exactly how things get cooked. I was gonna say really quickly that I know you mentioned the TF a bit there. I do like this from Elias because yeah, there's not a ton of AP damage on face value, but Karma, we know, even in a supportive role, can get a sneaky amount of damage through into the mid game. So why not leverage towards that TF? And you know, the pick potential of a TF and Zach just running around the map, I think if Nigel's Last Tiles can play their style of the game, they're going to be able to just have the numbers advantage at so many points in this game. And that could be enough to win this game through a mid power spike of some sorts.
100%. And once again, to bring it up, there's no one that wants to tank up the gold card. Nobody wants to take that gold card from the side of ISU. Maybe Gwen because of the mist, but if you get gold carded, it's really easy to follow up on that with the sack, like you were mentioning, because you gold card, sack long engage, he doesn't really need much to be able to get onto a champion that is gold carded already. And then the follow-up damage from the Ezreal and the Karma is from a safe distance. So you're able to blow up, or at the very least, blow a lot of damage onto a target, and they don't have much choice than to run away because nobody can tank it effectively, and nobody wants to be gold carded. So there's a lot of issues that can be faced by ISU if no one is willing to tank that gold card. And I agree with what you're saying with Elias. This also means for side lane pressure. Because if the Twisted Fate is alone by himself in the side lane, you don't know if Evan Lai is there. You don't know if the sack is close by and he can come from the Fog of War and go there. And then Nodal, Evan Lai, and Elias can also work together on the side lane to try and go for this win because you have Destiny Gate and super long engage from the sack. So there's a lot of avenues to try and just consistently try and grab or pick someone up, and nobody wants to be the one that tanks the gold card from the side of ISU either.
And so ISU not willing to really tank anything with their comp, but hopefully you guys at home can tank this break that we have to go to. We're trying to get a Spectre set up so that oh, okay, never mind. We actually, the timer's already, we talked through the timer, so we're not going to a break. We are going to finally get on to something. There's certainly an intriguing draft that TDS has been able to tease for a couple of you guys, and now they're on that familiar battle arena. You can see Nodal's summoner choices in all of their glory, and something's getting cooked up special here, and we're going to figure out if it burns in the oven or tastes way more surprising than it looks.
Exactly. I'm excited to see how it's going to work. I already kind of think that maybe the idea of the smite here is so that Evan Lai never goes top lane and Nodal is the one that takes the grubs. So he actually farms the grubs himself, and then they also play to try and get the dragon. That way getting the two objectives with the smite.
I mean, that could be... I mean, this is why I love Chasm TDS. Is you're thinking way further than I am. I just see Smite on the top laner, and my solo queue brain is like, all right, so my top laner's ready to get down, but that's not what we have a possibility here. And
you don't remember the times of Hecarim top lane with the Smite or Shyvana top lane? It was 10 seasons ago, but it happened.
It did, in fact, happen. And Nodal's already going for trades here. I don't know if Metzl really wants this. Trying to stack up that passive. Neither top laner has flash either, by the way. So, all right, that trade's certainly going to go the way of Nodal. But before these get too crazy, I do actually see your point there, TDS, because Nigel's last tiles are certainly playing a mid-power spiking squad, and okay,
Nodos win this or not?
everybody ghosts out.
Well, technically, he still has one pod, so yeah, Nodal actually wins this, even with no ghost. There's a smite, there's teleport though.
And he is actually, I mean, this is pretty big. Oh, he cancels the back just to be pesky. This is pretty big for taking that smite, right? Is you're going to automatically knock the TP advantage away before minions even crash.
Ooh. Don't think you... Okay, he actually canceled that. That's perfect. Yeah, so the smite actually helps you with the push as well. So even if there is teleport, you can try and force it so that you can cancel or push the wave as fast as possible. And even in situations where there was a slight delay, the Udyr can push anyway. That being said, with how the wave or the lane state has been going, the teleport is going to help the Gwen have a slight lead in terms of health bar. So we see a bit of trading down there already.
Oh my god, all right, that's barrier out of Nausicaa's Senna. Yep. And tempos get chucked down pretty low. This is the sneaky early power of Ezreal. If you can chain these Mystic Shots and autos together, you have a lot of early prowess damage. This is where all my analysis is going to be found at TDS as an Ezreal enjoyer. It's the only champion I could do this for. But yeah, people forget how sneaky his early damage can be, especially with the Karma. Also, as we have both these junglers going for pretty standard clears, this is a fasting Senna and a farming Seraphine.
So I'm fine with the idea of going for the fasting Senna and the farming Seraphine. It's weird that we see it, 80 carry Senna and the support taking the Seraphine, but it's still a much better idea because obviously stacking up on the Seraphine is going to be much, or stacking up on the Senna is going to be much better. But overall, really interesting idea.
Very, very intriguing nonetheless. One more little housekeeping thing we didn't get to touch on just yet. Nigel's last tiles have put in who is listed on the rosters as their substitute. That is Ultio, playing the Ezreal. Good Shot is not in, so I don't know if that has been a change that they are going to stick with going forward, but at least for roster's sake, the rosters we have, that is a sub in.
And so far he's doing a really good job, farming really well, taking good trades against Tempos and Nausicaa. Obviously need to stack up a bit more, but so far so good as we see a bit of the trading. And like you mentioned at the start, junglers started with a pretty typical pathing. We saw them now crashing between each other, trying to fight for the Scuttercrab. But apart from that, not much action. So it's going to be a lot on what happens with these laners and who can get the better trades overall as well. As Zac is waiting.
Yeah, and Cross won the smite fight on the first Scuttle.
Yep.
So they're both down here after their full clears. So that's that slight advantage. And spotting out Evanline means he might be able to just kind of beeline it up towards the top side. He's got top push with Meslo, so, you know, certainly a small little lead, but these things can mean a lot in the early game to pick up that double scuttle to pick up a camp lead.
Yep. Having the advantage is almost always going to be great. The impact from the Zac is going to be seen when he obviously tries to go for a bit more ganks, but also when he becomes tankier. Like, he cannot take a phase fight against the Vi at face value. He has to wait and then take his time to actually approach it because he's going to lose the straight up 1v1.
Certainly has the passive to lend to, but yeah, I would not want that fight at all. As this is where the game really gets intrigued, especially for the summoner choices we've been harping on all game long for Nigel's last tiles. Is Rub's Ed Dragon hit the rift at 5 minutes, but the Udyr took a reset as they spawned, and with that scuttle control, Cross is actually just going to hop right on those first couple of grubs with the help of Nausicaa, and there's no real way to contest here if you're Nigel's last tiles.
Yeah, the smite advantage not going to actually be worth it. The smite isn't even used to try and collect the objective. I'm disappointed. I was theory crafting so much for them to actually not do anything. I don't like this. Yeah,
no, you actually had such a good line of thinking that it almost took me out of the idea that I thought this was an in summoner choice, but now that looks a little bit worse. I mean, obviously, face value is as the game goes on with those neutrals, Nodal will be able to help secure like a Baron or a Dragon with a higher health bar. Not by much, but it will help. That's the only thing we can really for sure know it'll help with for now.
Yeah, technically speaking, 2 smites is always better than 1, so objective fighting, it should be much better for the side of Tile. It's if they are able to contest that, right? If they are dead, that probably doesn't work that much. And also important to note is the fact that with no teleport, Nodal cannot go really far away from the rest of the team, right? Oh,
Oh, and well,
Meslo.
he's going pretty far in here, popping the ghost. The needlework coming out here. Snip, snip.
Oh, it's
Meslo
not
really close to finding first blood, but with no flashes, has to let the Udyr walk away. But more lane control for this Gwen, nonetheless.
He was 100% sure what he was doing there, and it actually works out at the end. And now with no ultimate on the Gwen, there's actually a good chance for Nodal to try and maybe punish this, also with MLI close by. So I want to see if they actually bait the Gwen in this spot. No, there's going to be a ward, so it's not going to work.
Yeah, good ward. I was curious if he was going to try an elastic shot from all the way from the tri-brush, because he would have been able to get at least close, but wanted to step up, and we'll force that back to at least relieve some pressure for Nodal. And that does spot out the jungler towards the top side, but Cross is sitting on a lot of gold. He wants that Warhammer, the Longsword, the Ruby Crystal. Gets that big buy off, and that means the Drake is still going to stay up, despite the fact that I've seen Drakes taken on spawn in Season 14 so often.
Oh, Nausicaa is actually getting engaged on. They really won this.
Okay, but Insane's is really low as well from the poke. Nausicaa, though, having to flash away. The Mystic Shot gonna whiff just to the right. The Karma Q as well. But Insane's is very low, and Nausicaa looking like he wants to push up. Gets the slow, looking for the root, but it will fall just short. The bot lane trading, matching the top side. No kills, but low health bars.
They are not going to get the kills. They are still following up on this, and because of the healing, the longer the fight went, the easier it became for Nausicaa. They also did fail quite a bit of their poke damage, so it didn't help them out as much as possible, but it was a nice attempt. I like the idea, and they did blow double summoners on Nausicaa.
Oh, there's a good root. Can Tempos get a stun? No. Good arcane shift there from Ultio. And that True Shot Barrage is going to certainly hurt as well, but the bot lane pressure is getting Cross. Neutral objective control that we were expecting from Nigel's last tiles.
Exactly. For the way that Nigel's has played so far, it hasn't gained them much control. Now they know where Evanlai is, and that means that there's not going to be even pressure onto this dragon. The way that ISU has played so far, really effective. They've been able to handle a lot of the early game situations well, and this can help them stack up as much as possible for the late game.
And they're certainly the team that wants to play for longer. There's needlework out from Meslo. These two top players go ban for ban once more, but Nodal, I think he's going to be happy with that trade, baiting out that ultimate.
It's the second time he actually makes this work out, and now he has a chance to actually go forward and try and fight Meslo.
No ghost available for either one of these players. He still likes his passive with the snip snip. Drew Dozer roaming over as well to try and maybe set up for some sort of play. But Nodal, just as aware as Meslo was earlier, playing this cautionly. Drew Dozer finally shows up in lane. He smites a minion to get the push going and backs off.
And that's the value of the smite. You smite the minion, you run away, and nobody dies. Perfect work.
Pulling Drew Dozer off his mid wave as well obviously helps get Elias a shove in. There's no true huge crowd control lead right now, or crowd control CS lead, creep score lead. The gold is pretty even. The only one is slightly favoring Ultio, but that's kind of what you expect in, especially on the new patch with how Seraphine kind of struggles to wave clear.
Exactly. As long as you're able to just push the wave, you're probably fine as a Seraphine, and she's not getting punished. Like, as long as she gets some farm, she's doing good. Obviously, it's not a huge value as of now, and you probably are going to take a bit longer to get what the Seraphine is capable of doing. But as of now, I think that doing a really good job. And once again, the smite top didn't work out that well. They don't have the right timing, and that means that all grubs going to go into the favor of ISU.
Yeah, TDS, I'm perplexed. That is the second time that Nodal is reset as grub spawn. So that's all 6 picked up for the Redbirds. I will give them some credit. I'm assuming they recognize the double smite top side, so both times they've actually roamed Nausicaa up there. And they're going to roam up here for potential dive onto Nodal. Let's see how well this one goes. Destiny dropped over. Here comes the TF, and Nodal able to actually avoid a lot of the harass. Going back in with the cease and desist. Evanlai is here as well. Nodal is still alive. Cross having to flash out from under the turret. Elias now finally pops into the fight. Elastic slingshot. Evanlai, they have Meslo pinned. Will they fight it? Yes, in his first blood. Over to Nigel's last tiles. Elias flashing for the gold card range, but won't get it. Elastic slingshot doesn't knock up Nausicaa. They throw him against his own turret, but he will end up staying safe. Finally, though, bloodshed on Summoner's Rift in this game 1.
That was a proactive flash by Elias there. It doesn't work out to get the second kill, but they do end up working out to try and save Nodal and get the first blood. That being said, the overplay working out not that badly for the side of ISU, because they do collect quite a lot of gold in the mid lane. taking down those plates. And the initial play where Elias was going to teleport to top lane with the Destiny Gate gets cancelled by Drudozer's ultimate. That could have been 2 kills if played much better, because the buy could have been dead as well. All in all, a pretty equal trade, gold slightly in favor of the side of Tile, but I feel like it's more so on the farming side than on how that play worked out for them in terms of kills. Really equal game so far overall.
Yeah, I like it for both sides, like you were talking about, mainly because I think Nigel's last tiles, they kind of almost wanted dare dives to happen because of how well they can actually respond to them with Elias's TF. And you know, Evelai was on the right quadrant of his jungle to be there. He's now on the bot side quadrant looking for Tempos, who immediately flashes respect flash away from Evelai. And that's what you want to see out of a Zac. That's exactly the power a Zac holds in this early game.
In all honesty, I think it took a little bit too long to actually go and pull off that play, because early on you can go for this play at level 2, level 3, because it's against a Senna and a Seraphine, but it took quite a bit, as we see the Senna stacking 52 stacks at 12 minutes. Not that bad. She's probably going to be hitting the 90 soul mark at around 20 minutes, so doing a really good job at trying to keep the pressure up. And roaming helped quite a lot with being able to gain as many souls as possible.
Yeah, I know the old marker for fasting Senna is you want 20 every 5 minutes, so 55 at like 12 and a half is, I believe, pretty right on schedule there. Is this top side, every time, man, they go slug for slug, and I think somebody's going to die, but they both limp away.
Exactly. Even though it looks like they are going to die, it's just the typical trading pattern of top lane. And this is why the camera loves them so much, because they fight, but nobody dies. Oh.
Okay. This is some 007 work going on right here. Cross is going to wait to get the smite. Does pick up the red. Evelai is completely caught. Has to get bouncing. And he will get out there. But Cross, the mental warfare of stealing away that red at play.
Yeah, waiting there, trying to get the red buff and getting the red buff at the end. Really good job there by Cross, which honestly has been running the early game so far really effectively for the side of ISU, even though their lanes don't look that aggressive. Oh, Saints.
I mean,
okay.
He ate every route Nosk and Tempos could throw at him. So yeah, this is definitely weird though, seeing a Seraphine Senna push off an Ezreal Karma in lane.
It's not typical, but this way I also feel like they took too long to try and pressure the lane, because Nozick and Tempos never had an issue to try and just farm it out or trade. They were doing perfectly fine down there in the bot lane, and the Zac didn't take advantage out of that situation. Now they are going to be a bit much better in trying to force some fights, and they do have ultimate access.
One song completed there for Noska, so gets a bit of a damage buff for himself and his teammates. There's speed of workouts to get out once again for Meslo, but Nodal will happily chomp down onto that one as these two top players continue the pattern of taking the directed camera's attention as much as possible. I will say really quickly, TDS, Noska not going for the lethalities, earlier damage spiking Senna is, oh, I might be shut up really quickly. No, Nodal has popped Ghost. Meslo got the full passive stacks, but here's the entirety of the Redbirds showing up. Destiny Gate gonna make sure they're all spotted. Evelai wanting to go in as Elias jumps right on top of the head of this cross by, pops him. Elias gonna find a double, making a triple. Nigel's last tiles, global pressure on full force, full display, and they get control of this game.
That was so well done there, playing off of Nodal, trying to bait out as many members as possible. Destiny Gate to keep the control in a really effective manner, and then Evelai engages in with the long range, something we were hyping up or trying to point out in the draft, and it works out so well there. They have 5 members topside, but they are able to get 3 kills, and the kill score is so much in favor of Tile. They also are able to teleport Elias bot lane, so they don't lose anything down there, and making the most out of a situation that was looking kind of weird as, oh, Evelai is alone here.
Okay.
Nodal
passive up. He hasn't died yet. He'll be able to hop right out. The Rift Herald will go over to Cross. Teleport coming in as well, I believe, from Tempos. So 5 members of the Redbirds will show up here now. They immediately have to teleport back bot because Elias's ADTF is just hounding these turrets.
Exactly, and honestly, I don't understand the back timing by Nodal there. Once again, the double smite cannot be used because the top lane is not there, and then in the mid lane they were pushing, but they weren't really helping Evelai. So he was by himself when the enemy team just came to try and collect it. So far, every objective has been collected by the side of ISU. Even though they are down in the kill score, they are doing a really good job at keeping map control at bay.
Will be a very big inflection point because, like we talked about, you are playing against a team from Tile that have a TF and a Zach and an Udyr that's going to be present in the side lanes constantly. So we'll see how well they can control these neutrals when they start getting spread thin, because this Elias's TF, this AD TF, which is still a very potent champion and build path, is very much so online.
Exactly, already doing really well and going to keep on stacking their side lane pressure. Like we mentioned, going to be quite high, so it's going to be a bit difficult to try and put pressure there. But because of the 2 dragons that were previously collected by ISU, now we're going to begin seeing the soul point going to be an actual matter, an actual point for the side of ISU.
Mountain Soul as well, which is going to be big for a team with no front line. I mean, if they can pick that one up, would work wonders. They're going to drop Shelly towards the bot side. Drew Dozer looking to get them the first turret actually of the game if they can. They got crossover here as well, and Nigel's last tiles gonna have to give this one away. Some big gold back for the Redbirds.
Kind of sad that no one was driving the Rift Herald, but yeah, they do end up collecting the first turret. Weirdly enough, first turret blood took so long to actually be collected, and with it, they are now closer in terms of gold on us.
I mean,
yep. What can you do?
Not walk into Fog of War in the enemy jungle? That's the only thing I can think of, TDS.
Yeah, that probably will work out much better for Nausicaa in the future. But as of now, gray screen for the Senna, and a really nice advantage that the side of Tile is getting, as they are going for cross as well.
Yep, they're going to try and brute force them off of the vision line they want to try and set up here. With all those turrets up can be very difficult. And yeah, the fact there's only 1 turret down is a great point to make there, TDS, because it makes the vision war a very intriguing prospect. You can't get, I don't think wards will be able to get very high up on either jungle for at least a bit here. And we've got that dragon spawning in 30 seconds, and Baron, I know we only have 5 kills, but it's actually only a minute and a half away. That's how slow paced the early game was.
Exactly, the game hasn't been much action, so it's not like there's a lot of opportunities for either team to really get an advantage. As just quickly to point out, that ping ward has been there for so long and nobody has been able to notice it or try and go against it.
It's a sleeper agent. Well, this pink ward is going to get dropped, as that is the cease and desist getting dropped. Great cancel on the hop, though. Drew Dozer caught in the middle of his leap, but they still end up getting the shutdown onto Elias, but it will cost Cross and Drew Dozer their lives. Drew Dozer now on the wrong side of the rift. Insane's still pretty beefy on the health bar, going to tank up Nausicaa. That Blade of the Ruin King nearly killing off this Karma. That Q nearly finds it. And the pick play works out. The Redbird's still very far pushed up, and Drew Dozer, if he gets one big hop, can he find the kill? Insane's will burn. It's ending up being a trade with the turret assist. Dragon is on the rift, and Elias knows it. Jumping back forward here, trying to knock out the tempo of the Redbirds. Doesn't get a good route across. Ultio still having to stay far back, and look who ran all the way down from top side. It's Nodal trying to get in on the fight. Tempo's having to flash away from Evan Live once more. Nodal, though, has to be careful himself. He's eating a bunch of damage, gets stunned up. The Senna can't find the execute. Elias shows back up, and finally Nigel's last tile should have themselves a dragon.
This should be theirs, although Cross is back, Cavalier still here.
Ross looking for the vault breaker in. Can he get there in time? No, he's a little bit too late. Now he's caught in the pit, who's getting hounded by this ADTF. There's the Destiny Gate out. A teleport coming through as well. Ton of damage dropped over top here. Flank from Drew Dozer. There's just a chaotic fight. The Zac passive will drop down. Nodal will kill off Meslo, but in the background, Drew Dozer can't find a single one of his kills on either side. Drops to Ultio as the scrappy fight just on continues. And finally, everybody gonna walk away with some hurt health bars.
Drew Dozer died twice in the old bad scuffle because he died at the initial engage and then he died in the second one as well. They get the dragon on the side of Tile, they get a teamfight victory on the side of Tile, and crucially, yes, a couple of members died, but Ultio is currently 3-0. This Astro that still has yet to complete his Muramana, still has yet to complete his second item, is beginning to stack up and be dangerous and could be a scary factor to look forward in the future, as the fight could have been much better for the side of ISU. I think that the initial idea is not bad, but the overall fight just feels a bit too disconnected between what they can accomplish and how they should play the fight out. And they are also playing a bit of timing because the Senna and the Seraphine are not yet at their strongest points. Especially, Nausicaa took a different route that we typically see from the Senna, not opting into the Tali, but instead into attack speed and more consistent damage. That means that she's going to take even longer to begin stacking up as the Senna that we know.
Nausicaa certainly doing good on the range numbers. I saw last time we looked at the soul count, hit 80 before 20 minutes.
Okay.
So I believe that's ahead of schedule. Yeah, nearly at 100. I think you want to. I think the mark would be what, 100 at
22.
22 would be pretty good. Yeah. So this is for the range. It's good, but like you mentioned, you're starting to see item discrepancies between some of these guys. You've got that nearly completed Moramana on Ultio, and once that comes through, that is where Ezreal is arguably at his strongest.
Exactly, the big damage difference maker is going to become an important factor. And then we were talking about this in draft as well, the tankiness of the side of Tile. Nodal completed his second item already, and Evelai is close to that second item as well, just now completes it. And I do like the idea of the Vessel Mask here, because we were mentioning maybe there was going to be a bit of lack of magical damage, but realistically there's a lot of mixed damage from Twisted Fate, the Ezreal, and the Karma. So everyone, and from Nodal as well, so everyone actually is going to be dealing quite a lot of magic damage plus their physical damage, thanks to the consistent damage, magical damage takeaway that the Vessel Mask is going to give them.
Yeah, I like it a lot more too, because I thought at first it might be a fasting or a farming Senna, which would mean the Seraphine would likely go more supportive. But now that it's a farming Seraphine, you see the Seraphs come out. This is more of an AP build, so definitely agree with you on that. The Abyssal Mask is a good play here, and I think the tankiness, like you're talking about, might just really let them call game in a lot of aspects, because you're going to be focused on burning that front line down so much, and we already saw how close some of those health bars got before. Gets so much harder to kill Evelai and Nodal. How do you really successfully contest things like this Baron that Nigel's last tiles are eyeing?
Gonna be an interesting attempt there. Longer team fights are going to be good for ISU because of their eternal healing of Nausicaa and tempos. But certainly, like you're mentioning, it's going to be difficult if they do lack the damage, and I do think that they are going to be lacking that damage for a bit at the very least. It's a lot of the Tristana, and then the Gwen needs to be in a perfect spot to be able to deal as much damage as possible. And once again, now that Twisted Fate completed the rapid fire cannon, Gold card is going to become a really, really important matter here, because nobody wants to be hit by it.
Another important matter that we're gonna have to track is cross mapping is coming online, is the teleport advantage that does come to the Redbirds. Meslo and Drew Dozer, he's about to get his teleport back up. So the fact that Nodal has Smite not teleport, they've got two champions that can really side lane well, at least clearing waves for one of them, pushing for the other. Can they stretch Nigel's last tiles a little too thin with having to match the side lane pressure to get back into this one?
Going to be important to see how they match this, and they are rushing the Baron. It looks like they won this.
They're on a ward, so this is very obviously known. Teleport coming across for Elias. Jumping forward is Evelai, going to grab Meslo, but the Mist is going to keep this Gwen safe for the time being. Here's Destiny out as Elias is looking for another big gold card. Will get the stun. There's a big encore though, turned back onto 3, and here comes ISU going forward. The TF is down, hopping all around as Drew Dozer reset City. Cross has his eye on Ultio. Shutdown comes across, and Tempos just saying the praise of the Redbirds, and it's gonna mean an ace and gray screen for the rest of Nigel's last tiles.
Crucial ultimate there by Tempos, and the big difference maker was going to be this sort of fight. They find an angle, and it was pretty much that, because they were running away from the Baron. The engage wasn't going to be that bad, and the follow-up with the gold card was going to be really effective by the Twisted Fate. But there was an angle for the Seraphine ultimate to work out, and that's precisely what they are able to find there. Perfect angle, perfect ultimate by Tempos, catching the 3 squishiest members on the side of Tile, and they just completely get destroyed in that fight. That means Baron buff and a push in top lane, actually.
Yeah, really big push. They're actually gonna try and hound this turret down.
Well, they have
using
Baron.
the Void Mites to their success. Everybody hitting the turret can line those up, but a couple good roots. Meslo, well, he's actually in danger. Actually, so they get away with that tier 2 as well. Extra gold. And that's exactly like you were talking about, to go back to that fight, how they want to play it. Somebody sets up, Cross and Drew Dozer go into that backline. Once the backline is gone, the game could be won.
It's all working out really well for them, and now that they have more value in their champions, because they just won the previous team fight, one more item on the surfing, one more item on the Wen, they are stacking up. It's all working out much better for them. Senna also 122 stacks. She's doing a really good job at keeping the stack value up as much as possible, and it's all on how Tile can try and answer this. We're reaching towards that late game value that ISU was trying to stack up for, and it looks like it's going to work out marvelously for them at the end.
And that range for Nausicaa, I mean, you can see how much damage you can drop down, but if he can outrange, you know, give himself more space for Mystic shots, but more importantly, you know, there could be a point where the Senna gets out of the range of deadly yellow cards that could come his way, so it could really just spell game, especially helps that they're knocking down every single piece of gold they can grab across the rift.
Exactly, that could be an important. Oh, wait.
Okay, cease and desist onto Insanes, but the front line, Nodal is already dead. Drew Dozer's going to claim Insanes. Nodal lips out, but it means his teammates might fall. Drew Dozer looking for reset after reset. Zach Passive is going to come down, but Elias is now caught, pinned down, and killed. And this is going to be one push for the age. ISU, they struggled in the early game, but they're going to call game and take a 1-0 lead in this elimination match from Group B.
It's going to be enough. The Baron buff to the last game push. Everyone is really healthy, and they actually are able to pull it off at the end. Huge game by ISU. And I do want to go back to talking about the early game, because they didn't win the early game, but they didn't lose it. I think Cross played an amazing game in this one with the buy, controlled all the early stages of the early game, actually collecting those early grubs mattering quite a lot, because you could see at the end Ezreal poke didn't matter because it was getting blocked by the groblings. Karma was getting blocked by the groblings, and then when they were getting pushed into themselves, the second the other value wasn't really achieving much there. I think that the idea of Tile was good. The problem is that they never pushed the issue as much as they could towards ISU. And that was just a time bomb for ISU to scale, get the Senna, the Seraphine, the value that they wanted, and then allow for the rest of the team to kind of accommodate in an effective manner around it. So if Tile wants to win the remaining games, they need to have a much better aggressive approach if ISU is going to stay in this sort of game plan.
And TDS, as much as I loved the logic you had, that smite from Nodal, I don't really think it got any value. I mean,
it seems like it was a mistake.
Yeah,
from what I've read.
Yeah. Okay. So certainly didn't help, right? Because it really just changes your game plan, especially with a comp that you have like global pressure with, that you don't have that teleport to match. So hopefully here, Nigel's last tiles can look to rebound. They'll have side selection going into this next game draft. We also have Fearless, so that means that they won't have to worry about the Redbirds breaking out that key Senna again for a game. But a lot of champions still at disposal for ISU. This is a team that finished top 8 in the last qualifier round, and they are not looking to bow out here, but they got one more game before they can move on, or Nigel's last tiles force us the distance. We're going to figure out a bit more of that picture once we get back from this break with game number 2.
we'll make amends here. Where the brings us, we must remain. Relive the pain and turn it on down. 'Cause we must live up to our name. Strike once, we can't let go. Strike twice, reap in this war.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our Aegis featured broadcast of the GSL stage quarter qualifiers number 2 for the NACL. And we have the same sides from last game between Illinois State University Redbirds and Nigel's Last Tiles. The only switch we're seeing so far at TDS is they have put in Love Ego at support instead of Insanes, who was... So Love Ego, if we're going back off the roster again, TDS, that is their starting support player, so...
Yeah, they are going to play with their actual team. Will it make a big enough difference? Maybe. We will have to wait and see. Like, it's a big maybe. I think there was great things from Tile in the previous game, but ISU just played their combat way better, and they just knew how to make it work out. So this time around, we need to see more from Tile to play their composition out in a much effective manner. That being said, and we talked about this in the first game, tier draft. It's not going to be the same champions, so there has to be some adaptation from both of these teams. Maybe not in draft, though.
Yeah, we'll see, because I mean, so far, like you're talking about, Redbirds have banned the same champions. They take away Smolder, they take away Hui, Oriana on the other side. That Senna ban, I think, is very smart, and the adaptation they make, because they can't pick it, so they don't want to give it over to Nigel's Last Tiles, and that's the adaptation you were looking for.
Yep. And the Karma as well are going to be potentially banned away. So overall, both teams adapting to one of the champions. I feel like Karma has been a bit too overpicked to a certain degree. Like, I understand the priority, but she feels like she's not at the point where she was before. And her time, the times that she's useful feels much lesser than the times she's not. So kind of weird there. But the Barriers, I was bringing him up in the previous game. Now he actually does show his face. He's still a great champion. Flexible in both builds and position, because it can still be played top lane and mid lane to a certain degree, and can be quite a lot of value. And on the side of Tile, if they want to say, "Ooh, okay, that's aggressive."
Wow. Okay. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Wow,
And
so we're on the complete opposite sides of aggressiveness with their first 2 picks: Draven and then Ivern, right? The most relaxed force spirit of all time, but certainly showing some identity, right? These aren't like the super meta picks. These are 2 picks that you pick for very certain compositions you want to push across if you are the Nigel's Last Tiles.
Yeah, 100%. And I think maybe the idea here is to try and win bot lane as heavily as possible, so that then you can run with the shield as a Draven and you don't get killed, or you actually can just face tank a lot of the value from the side of ISU. As we see, Kindred and Cillian.
Whoa.
Okay, so the Cillian, they don't want to die to the Draven. They are scared of dying to the Draven, it looks like here. And the Cillian could be flex mid lane and support. I was thinking maybe they play with the Renata instead to try and take away from Draven Renata bot lane duo, which can be a bit scary. But this is another way to try and revive yourself if you ever die to the Draven. And on the side of Tile, they need an aggressive support. So this does count as aggressive, but not in the way that we were thinking. And this adds up to shield the Draven if he's far ahead enough.
Yeah, this is just already the most wacky game of the GSL. I'm not watching other streams right now. There's no other game that's been this weird from a draft. You have Team Super Shield on the red side, and then on the blue side you've got Team We Will Never Die, because you have Kindred ult and then Zillion ult. So this is certainly, Fearless inspired, but like we said, there's only 10 champions that are actually out of this game, and if you're getting really specific, it's actually only 5 champions out of the game, because the other side could pick the vice versa champ. So
I'm trying to think what are the other champs you can pick that gives shield to the Draven that can be playing in the other positions. The Lulu, maybe, if you want to play her mid lane or top lane, and that's it, because Oriana is banned away, so there's not a lot of other choices. But so far there's quite a lot of shields for the Draven. And top lane and jungle getting banned away, Tile taking both the sack and the Udyr away, thinking that maybe this Kindred goes to the jungle, but there was still chances for the top lane to be present. I like that they take away the Cassandra, because that is a good tool to try and push away someone from the Kindred ultimate. There's still Gragas open, which I actually wouldn't mind if Tile goes for the Gragas top lane here. You have AP value, and then you have the push away from the Kindred ultimate.
Could be a good pick. I'm trying to think of champions that would be good picking Serpent's Fang up here if you are the Redbirds. Obviously, Varus can run it, but I do know a lot of people favor the on-hit Varus in a lot of scenarios, and with an Ivern and a John, an Ivern, I assume there'll be a lot more frontline. I don't know how good lethality would be into a Janna Ivern. Aurelion sold the lock in mid here.
I love it.
For Evan or Elias. So that's the big scale threat that they needed.
And they're going to face, could they go? Yeah, actually against the Cassiopeia. So Miasma going to be a lot of value. That means that it's going to be a Cillian in the support position. And I think once again, I feel like if you put a tank here, could be quite nice to try and have that sort of soaking champion for yourself. But since there's no top lane from Tile just yet, this could be like a good enough flex champ. Maybe something like an R or Gragas as well here, although there could be a bit too much AP damage, but one of those two champions could be good enough. The Bolivar, not a bad choice either. Was buffed. He is a good enough balanced champion in the top lane that there's not a lot of matchups that he ends up losing. I think that there's good value on the Bolivar being able to soak up some of the damage and also being able to dive some champions. I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, I don't think that's more than likely going to happen. So it's now on Tile what they want to go for. Jax is open. Could be a Jax, maybe, if you think it goes well against the Bolivar. Or the Olaf, I like it actually. Not bad.
There are a lot of things. There are a lot of good ults that you could just run through, right? I mean, they have a decent amount of CC. You could just run right through. This Olaf can ignore Chains of Corruption, ignore Zillion Stun, Cassiopeia, Petrifying Gaze. Like there is a lot of things that you can just run right through. So I do like this pick for Nodal. I can confirm he's not running Smite this time. No mistakes going on that end. But I gotta say, I get the logic with the Nigel's Last Tiles comp of like the super shielding for this Draven. You have a scaling-ish solo lanes going. I'm a pretty big fan of what the Redbirds have cooked, especially with the Volibear to finish off. They've got frontline. They've got a lot of people that can sort of keep a lot of these champions on Nigel's Last Tiles at bay. I mean, the Olaf is an inevitability, but you've got a Cassiopeia, a Zillion at great distance, the Kindred ult to bail out. If this Olaf does get on top of somebody, the Zillion ult to bail out. Like, this is a creative comp from the Redbirds.
Yeah, overall, not a bad option. I will say, though, the one thing that I dislike from the Olaf here is that he doesn't really make a lot of value against Kindred's ultimate, right? Like, Cross doesn't have to worry about Olaf running on top of him, because you can just press Kindred R while the Ragnarok is running, try and kite him out, and that way you can try and survive longer. And that's another thing that I dislike from Tile's composition is that there's no push away from Kindred's ultimate. If Cross pops it, they are going to stay there, because nobody can pull them away from that ultimate. No, well, actually, Lobigo can, but I don't think you want to flash in as the giant and push everyone away from the Kindred ultimate. So, yeah, realistically, I don't expect that to happen that much. And the other thing that I'm not that convinced this game with is that they are, to a certain degree, dependent on Ultio doing good in the bot lane. If Ultio falls behind, there's a really big risk that you don't have a good transition point from early game to mid game to late game. Because a lot of that, it's dependent on the Draven. Like, Olaf can do good enough, but he cannot be the only one trying to run into the side of ISU. Because even if he's not affected by some of the abilities, he's still a champion that can get killed. And if the target that he's going for gets revived by tempos, then he just gets collapsed on by the rest of the members' dies, and there's not enough follow-up yet from the rest of the team. I think that Ultio needs to really do good, and I want to see Evanlight go down there to the bot side and try and impact the Draven as much as possible.
Yeah, we didn't see enough of that with the Zac last game. It didn't really happen until we were already past the 10-minute mark in that lane. And, you know, just to double down on your point, if Ultio doesn't do well, the only real AD damage on this comp will become Olaf, right? So, and you never want your only AD damage to be a melee champion unless they are giga-fed in that game. So,
which could happen.
It could happen, right? And, you know, Nigel's Last Tiles, they did have the better early game into partial mid game of these two teams last time round, and they're indexing somewhat into that once more. So it certainly is a reality the way they've played their early game. Just got to kind of clean up those real big fights that come if they want to have success.
Exactly. And I can see a world where if the early game goes pretty similar to the previous one, and then Ultio, because there was a moment where Ezreal was 3-0. Ultio's 3-0 as the Draven, that completely turns into a different game, because now you have a hyper-fed Draven that has double shielding champions and a Meteor from the sky that can stun anyone. So, like, there's ways to make Ultio have value this game, but they have to play a lot around him. And then on the side of ISU to try and bring up their composition, because I do like their composition feels a little bit more consistent. I do think Nausicaa can go for the lethality route, and I think he's going to opt into that this game because, like you're mentioning, Serpent's Fang going to have quite a lot of value, and because they picked Drew Dozer, Cassiopeia, you have consistent damage on another part of the map. So you do not need to have the Barris be the consistent damage dealer. And there's no true tank once again on the side of Tile, or this game there's no true tank on the side of Tile. Olaf is not known for being a true tank, right? Like he's a bruiser that can build tankier, but you typically do not go for a lot of damage or tank items, ignoring your damage items. So I think as long as Nausicaa or Nodal is not really far ahead and Nausicaa can go into the lethality, that can be quite a lot of value for the team.
Well, TDS, we're going right into the game.
Let's go.
We've gone through our integrity timer, as I will claim it, and we are on to Summoner's Rift here. So many possibilities in these lanes. Gonna be excited to see how they come out because, you know, we talked about how Nigel's last tiles they did great on the early game, right? But the flip side of that is for a team that's ISU, you finished top 8 last OQ, or not just OQ qualifier, and they have been, in my mind, in every game of the GSL, they've come out of the early game kind of behind. So it's not gonna get easier if you do get this win over Nigel's last tiles. You're gonna have to find a way to clean up early games, or whatever team drops out from the other matchup in their group, in this group B. You know, if you're gonna be taking on Blue Otter or you're taking on Polestar, who already beat you by beating you in the early game. So the Redbirds, I want to see a cleaner early game out of them for once in this GSL.
Yeah, being honest, I don't think anyone wants to face either team. Those two teams can be quite strong. So yeah,
somebody has
to. Yeah, probably not the most ideal, but you certainly want to be the team that face either of them, because that means you still have one life left. You haven't lost just yet.
And the winner of this does lock in a top 16 finish.
Yep.
As well. So that's always top 16 finish. So that's obviously a big spot to be at. Or if you could get there, ISU already got there once themselves. So, top 8 finish, I believe, is actually the correct terminology. I get confused by these brackets. You know, we have Swiss into the group brackets. Sometimes it can be a bit confusing.
Yeah, sometimes you get top 16, sometimes you get eliminated in the OQs themselves, so there's a lot of things that could happen before, but neither of the teams want to lose at this point. There's so much that you still want to be able to achieve, and because of how point system works as well, losing out at this point does not give you a real good chance to try and go towards the elimination tournament, so you have to stay alive for as long as possible, even if that means facing the strongest teams.
Yeah, if you didn't finish top 4 in the first OQ, you kind of, to get an outside spot.
Yeah,
it's not for sure, but you need to realistically be in the final game.
Pretty much.
This qualifier to have a shot. So certainly would be a big win for either one of these squads, but certainly want to just take things one game at a time, as we do see that the one advantage for this jungle matchup is that Cross will be able to get out in the rift a little bit quicker. That Ivern clear is looking like to be mostly a full here, but I guess both junglers are going for a full clear.
And there's also no chance for Evanlight to actually be able to fight Cross again. Something that we saw in the previous game as well, right? The fact that early on, Evanlight is not going to be able to contest much against Cross, because how the champions work is typically you cannot fight against each other, the other one that well. So you have to take a bit of the backseat, and if Cross can take advantage of that, you can stack up on your marks. You can find a lot of value as a Kindred as. Nodal.
All right. Ghost trades once more. Good dodge up from Meslo. Gets away from one axe. Can he do it again? The shield going to come out for Nodal. Looking for the volley bear shield, but the slash the axe lands first, and Nodal has first blood in the top side for Nigel's last tiles.
Yeah, I kind of find it weird that that Meslo actually went back topside, because there was Cross in that position going upwards. Like, if you just waited a bit more or tried to go downwards quicker, you probably could have gone towards the Kindred a bit earlier, and that way you could have saved yourself. But already advantage to Nodal, that is really good for the side of Tile, because we were talking about this. Ultio needs to do good, but if you have an Olaf that is far ahead, that can also work out really well.
Looking at bot side for Ultio, we do see Evanlai is already posturing over towards that side. So looking to at least just be a disruptor. Looks like he's looking for some sort of gank angle. He's going to step up here, trying to land a root, maybe just put a bit of pressure down there, get the wave in. That's always going to help Ultio, especially with that Draven passive he wants to stack up.
That was cute. It's kind of cute seeing the Ivern come down there, but he actually didn't achieve match at that point, and just like that, they know where the Ivern is, which is not the end of the world, but you probably would have liked to have a bit more of an opportunity there. And the wave was pushing towards them, so I think they probably could have played this up a bit better on their side.
With that bot side coverage, though, at least Evanline will deny the first Kindred stack with that scuttle, so it gets that one out. He's also gonna look to steal away those wraiths as Cross has now showed up bot side, though good whirling tornado there to back him off. Dragon and Grubs both spawning with both junglers eerily close to each other.
I don't know why Meslo is still trying to go against Nodal. He's not winning
He's
this.
dead. I mean, he's got no ghost, he doesn't even have flash, and Nodal has a second, so one of those two benchmarks we need to see TDS for Nigel last tiles to have success is flying through.
Yeah, exactly, and Meslo not understanding really his role at this point, actually dying 2 times to the Olaf, going to be pretty detrimental for the side of ISU. But if there's a chance for them to try and turn around this, is playing around cross stacking and also finding Bali with the Sparrows. Drudozer is already doing a really good job in the mid lane, just becoming a Cassiopeia, so eventually they're going to find Bali there. But those two champions, both of the marksmen, needs to do really well here.
See how that goes forward. Good stun there from Tempos. Love Eagle's gonna get burned down, and nicely to come across. Piercing arrow still sticks through the flash. Great aim from Nausicaa. And one of those marksmen for the Redbirds is now very much online, TDS.
It seems that they are reading what we kind of want them to be able to achieve on both sides. And also, oh wait, still come through.
Okay, no mana for Ultio. Saw his flash if he needs it. Nausicaa popped that ghost, but can't get enough damage to force the flash out. But more pressure and more power to Nausicaa and Tempos regardless.
Yeah, it was Ghost plus the movement speed from Tempos, but they did blow the clans from Ultio. That means that next time that those two bombs connect, there's a good chance for them to actually be able to try and kill Ultio there. As they are trying to push the wave here, Ivern is coming. There's a chance for a gank here.
Flash is available for both of these bottom laners. They're out of mana though, and Nausicaa, even with flash, I think he's just as good as dead. Big adoration stack coming through for Ultio, who gets more gold out of his kill in the bottom lane than his counterpart.
Actually getting so much value there, and you have to question Nausicaa and Tempos there. They knew that the Love Eagle was there. They knew that there was a slight chance that the Ivern could be there because the Kindred and Meslo were doing the grubs up there in the top side. So they disrespect completely the potential of the Ivern being there, and that means that now 2 of the conditions for the side of Tile being met.
Casting in on those adoration stacks is just so huge on the Draven early. It can really make or break a Draven game, and Ashina and Caulfield's Warhammer at this point certainly going to put him in a good position. You see Nausicaa though, he is going that, it looks like lethality oriented Varus, likely going to be going for that Youmu's with those 2 components.
Yeah, the good thing is that at least the lethality components are technically cheap, so you can try and take your time to get them, and you're probably not going to be as weak early on against them.
Exactly. Spike harder earlier, certainly going to be what this Varus is going to look to do. Also, just sets up for the easiest Serpent's Fang game of his career. Okay, hold on. Ragnarok pop top side. Stormbringer is the response, but I think Meslo isn't even safe under his own turret. Nodal 3 for 3 on solo bolos, and it's got Nigel's last tiles rolling.
Well, he gets slowed once again, and that just means that you can follow up on that own Nausicaa.
Oh, okay, Temple's level 5, so they have no Zillion ult bailout. Flash from Ultios to try and pull the Draven ult back around, but just a flash for flash. Good pressure, though, once more. Nigel's last tiles, they're all over the map right now.
That has to hurt. You were able to flash away there. Oh, but Nausicaa's probably dead here.
Good old Daisy valiantly taking up the turret. Nausicaa, he stares down 4 members, and he's just as good as dead. Ultio grabbing another one of those kills, but he's actually gonna walk back into turret range and die. Oh, TDS.
What was he scared of? What was he scared of there? There was no one in that position.
That is so rough. I mean, maybe he thought the turret aggro could reset, because the only reason he gets 3 shots is because Daisy was taking up so many of the turret shots prior. I don't know, but that's big.
Yeah, that is actually important, because that is a kill after the Varus died. So they cannot push into the wave. They cannot try and collect even more. The damage from the Draven is still going to be quite high, and he's going to collect all this farm. But like that stops momentum from Ultio. So it can be kind of worrisome if they are not able to take advantage now of the moment. At the very least, Nodal is still in a really good spot. And Cross, even though he's been stacking up, I'm not sure how many stacks is he currently at. I don't think he's at 4. He probably is at 2 or 3. So he's still a little bit... But he actually doesn't even have one.
Not a single one he's been able to grab. Bad. Yeah, that's bad. I mean, we saw that Evan Lai was doing a good job cross jungling. So that's partially, a big part. And when you're 0-0-0, can't get any of those stacks off champions as well. So this is another pretty good early game. If we take away that Ultio mistake, Nigel's last tiles are really in control of this game.
And we're not even sure if that's going to be a big difference maker of a mistake, just because yes, Ultio died, but he still is ahead of Nausicaa, and it doesn't look like they are going to try and pressure Ernie on down here. Obviously, it's going to be much difficult because you're playing a Kindred, not a Vi, so it's not like you can find early game advantages in that sort of position, but there's not a lot of opportunities. Doesn't even look like they are going to look for opportunities to try and pressure down there either.
We do recognize the second bout of grubs are being taken away, so I like this from Cross with the mid lane pressure. They are going to grab that first Drake. The caveat being, this is first Drake going down right around the 11-minute mark, so that really puts a hinder to any sort of generation of a soul point.
It's going to make it so that you're going to take quite a while before soul point becomes an actual factor. Like, this game has to go long for the side of ISU to actually begin working out as well as they probably are expecting it to.
Still have Drew Dozer going, and you'd hope the Cross's Kindred can scale up pretty well. Speaking of Drew Dozer, there is the Petrifying Gaze down, trying to burn right through this Aurelion Soul. One more Fang could do it, but Elias is going to limp away, counting his lucky stars.
Yeah, that was a really good stun coming there by Elias, making it so that he doesn't die to Drew Dozer. I like the way that the Aurelion Soul is being played here, but the Cassiopeia is slowly but surely becoming an important factor. And that's going to be your probably main late game champion to play with. Maybe the Kindred as well, probably.
Certainly won't be the Varus with this lethality angle. Yeah. And Meslow's probably going for more of a drain tank, not that crazy damage spiking Volibear we expect. There's Chains of Corruption whiffing from Nausicaa. I swear, TDS, that's like the most missed ultimate I see in competitive play.
They try. Oh wait, 3-man
okay. Death Brush for Nodal. Melee pops Ragnarok. He's in the middle of 3, but he's not that fed. Shut down, given over to Meslo. Teleport did come out from Elias, does not have the Falling Star. Evan Lai doesn't have a ton of pressure himself, so good pick there from the Redbirds, and they get a teleport as a consolation prize.
Yeah, I will say, though, probably not who you wanted to get that shot down. It goes to Meslo, which it's going to be good to try and tank yourself up. But if that was on the Cassiopeia, Drew Dozer.
Well, here, round 2. One on the Cassiopeia. Yeah. Let's see if they get it. He grounded Evan Lai is, and Drew Dozer's going to flash over regardless. There's the kill Cassiopeia's been looking for.
It takes away from the value that it went to Meslo, and that means that now the Cassiopeia are going to start stacking up even much better. Like the topside plate there, shutting down Nodal, even though he had the ultimate, it doesn't really matter because you do have the damage. And then gaining advantage into the enemy jungle as well is really, really good, while Ultio is really trying to put pressure down here as Draven.
The thing I want to talk about really quickly is I actually didn't think about this, but Cassiopeia is such a good answer to Aurelion Soul because in order for Elias to drop all of his damage, he has to be looking at Drew Dozer, right, with that Breath of Light, and if you are looking at a Cassiopeia, you set up for that stun every time. So that's some hidden tech there. I want to give some props to Drew Dozer and the Redbirds for. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they thought of that.
Yeah, you're pretty much forced to making that work out for yourself. You kind of are forced into that situation because of how the champion works. So the fact that you're forcing it in that sense, it's going to be great for the Cassiopeia and pretty much every other champion. Like the only one that isn't looking at you, it's probably Evan Lai, since he doesn't need to do much against you. But Elias needs to be looking at you, Nodal has to run at you, and Ultio has to run at you as well. So everyone kind of has to be looking at you.
And while they're looking to try and make a play towards his bot side, Nausicaa, that was actually Nausicaa popping the almost to get back down there. Elias does have Sky's Descent, so the first bout of that map-altering ultimate is going to be available. As we do have a Dragon spawning 1 minute 39. Cross might be caught though. The least damage dealer is here. Evan Lion, Love Ego looking to get the kill. Cross having a flash over the wall. There's the Chrono Shift on top of the Kingdra, but Drew Dozer gets hit by the backwards whirling death, and the Cassiopeia ends up being the one to fall for the Redbirds.
Okay, that was way too much damage onto Cross dealt by Evanlai. Like, that was actually just coming from the Ivern. Makes no sense, but it works out. And another kill for Ultio. This Raven is really far ahead as... Oh,
okay, they're trying to burn down Love Ego, but the Monsoon's gonna come across. Cross will grab the kill. Nazca trying to get the Kindred open, dies just outside of it. So Elias finds a trade. Good knockup from Daisy. Gets Cross killed as well. Top side, we're slugging it out more. Kill. Nodal took the turret, popped the Ragnarok, and Likes is on still up against Meslo, and he might damn near win it. One more axe to land if he can find it. Misses, flashes forward. Huge heal from Meslo. Where did the health come from? Now he has the advantage. He has the kill.
The turnaround from top lane, Meslo finding the angle there. He actually just survives by the skin of his teeth. It's the shield and then the heal from the W stacking up all together. Bot lane maybe a complete disaster, but now top lane surviving by a little bit, a little threat. And the map is just complete chaos because you see some places doing well, and then completely out of nowhere, everything kind of becomes messed up.
I'm just baffled by that healing. That had to have been 400 health. The slow got back in an instant, but despite the fact that Nodal comes up a bit short, he still does get that turret knocked down. I mean, somebody got first turret for Nigel's last tiles, and they are still sitting on what is 3.5K gold lead, exactly where they had to be going into this mid game.
Yeah, they had to have this sort of advantage, and they are making the most out of it. Looks like a really good thing for the side of Tile, and as long as they can keep this happening, look at the Draven. Has 2 items completed, plus a little bit more damage onto himself. Thankfully, because of the Dragon not being an actual factor, it's not like they are going to stack up much here. It's going to be Ocean Soul, which both of these teams will love. But this Reap Herald may be able to bridge the gap in gold to a little bit, just because there's still quite a lot of standing gold on the side of Tile.
Very true. My problem here is the closest either team will get is that's an immediate cleanse answer to Chains of Corruption, by the way, Nasiga. The quickest either team can get to that Ocean Soul is 30 minutes, by the way. And that's if they burn it down on spawn with no contention every time. Here we have another catch. Good petrifying games for Drew Dozer, trying to keep himself safe. Gets a locket speed up, does get knocked up by Daisy, has the Chrono Shift on top of him. Triple stun landed over from Tempos, forces a Monsoon out. Stuns galore, and somehow everybody walks away with their life.
Daisy is really such a bothersome thing to try and deal with there, and even though the double stun comes through because no one was in the right spot, they cannot follow onto the kill. That being said, it's flash blown by Elias. They also get the ultimate from the Aurelian Soul, and they didn't obtain anything. As long as the Cassiopeia doesn't die, you still are finding value because she's going to keep on stacking. You need to not give gold up that easily to the side of Tile, because that's the way that they just keep controlling the game. But as long as the trades go equal, or they don't go bad for ISU in a very effective manner, they are doing really good in this game, I mean.
Speaking of stacking, I'm curious if Cross has gotten a stack. I'm pretty certain that he has at least one off of a kill here. Okay, he's at 2, but I mean, at 18 minutes. Yeah, but at 18 minutes
it's not Kindred.
Oh, Nodal, he's going to eat a stun. He has Ragnarok if he needs it, and will finally pop it, but he took a ton of damage, and he might just die to the poison. Held on to that ultimate too long, and Drew Dozer punishes him for it.
And the poison was going to be an important factor there, and it turns into a really defining moment as we see the Rip Herald crashing, and Nausicaa.
What's going on mid? All right, the Chrono Shift comes across. Asuka's going to come back up. Drew Dozer flashing to create some distance. They're just ignoring Elias, who is free firing with the Breath of Light on the side. The stun comes out a little bit too late. Ultio going forward, watch Drew Dozer, gets the kill plus the adoration, and these messy fights keep turning topsy-turvy. We now have Meslo, who gets knocked out of a blast cone by Daisy. I mean, this is just complete chaos.
That was hilarious to see, getting cancelled as you're going through the air. There is more kills for Ultio, which for the side of Tile is great. But once again, if it's equal trades, or there's something that the side of ISU is getting, it's not completely bad for them. Yes, they lose important members in a mid lane turret, but the game is still not that far away from where they would have liked it to be. And as long as they can keep on competing, that's where you want to see ISU. Yes, the Draven is in a perfect spot.
Ooh.
Don't get me wrong. Like 3 items at this point in the game, that's scary. But the Draven is not going to scale much harder than Rudozer or Cross. So they need to be able to manage that timeout.
It earned over 1,200 gold though, purely from adoration stacks, which is exactly what you have to do on this Draven, nonetheless. And you do always have that Aurelion Soul, who, you know, Elias is quietly 2-0-4. He has his 2 items. He can, and honestly, almost supersede match the scaling of Drew Dozer's Cassiopeia in the right scenarios.
Yeah, overall, it's not a bad. It's not a bad. Oh no, it's probably bad.
Yeah, I mean, there's just nothing to do here. I wouldn't even flash. He still does flash, and he shoots Shades of Corruption at a Ragnarok pop to Nodal, so there's nothing to do there. Dies with flash as well, and that's the green light for Nigel's last tiles to send it on down to this Baron.
Well, I don't really understand what exactly NACL is looking for. Like, there was nothing to try and go for there. That is Baron. I don't know why they are even trying to teleport there.
Well, they got Meslo here, Drew Dozer as well, and trying to create a wall. There's a big Stormbringer. They're trying to set up Drew Dozer, but the falling star, Drew Dozer is getting hounded by Elias. Good stun comes across. Nodal without Ragnarok will find the first kill. Chrono Shift will land onto Drew Dozer. Still have Meslo up and kicking, but they're ignoring this Aurelion Soul. Elias has the most perfect angle for Breath of Light, and he grabs a double for his squad.
Wait. Who's... Okay, no. I thought they stole Baron. No. Okay. I got baited by the back animation there by the Cillian. I actually thought someone stole Baron buff and I didn't even notice, but no. Perfect team fight by Tile. They win everything out even without the Olaf ultimate, but it's because they have every bit of control there. Once again, the side of ISU wants to play with time, but they don't have time anymore because they are going against a Draven that has 3.5 items against an Aurelion Soul that has 2.5 items, and it's going to keep on scaling, and they are not respecting how to try and approach it. Overall, they're just so much stronger on the side of Tile, and it looks like they probably are going to be able to close it out this game. And yeah, I got baited by Herald Recall.
Herald Recall.
I got scared.
Yeah, because Tempo's hadn't back ever since they took Herald. It certainly is a funny interaction, but yeah, you talk about the control. I understand that there are a lot of targets and they're jumping into fights that they are not favored in if you're the Redbirds on the last one, but there's some champions you can't ignore when they are putting out damage. Aurelion Soul is designed to be vulnerable when firing Breath of Light, right? He's literally standing still, facing you. And Elias had so many angles to just burn everybody down. Nobody was focusing him. I mean, how many fights do you see on Aurelion Soul come out of with his full health bar, TDS?
Not that many, and pretty much none, especially when he's flying towards you, and that's going to be a soul kill almost. Meslo is dead anyway. Like, yeah. Yep. Oh, wait, unless?
Okay, Chrono Shift's here. Tempo still drops it. They're going to wait it out, but the tornado will actually knock him down, and that actually might allow Meslo to survive, but it will be at the cost of some turrets. Tier 2 drop to the bot side.
Everyone is here. Cassiopeia sub lane, they can just push here. There's nothing stopping them from going forward. The stun is not going to matter. Yeah, that turret is dead. And Cassiopeia may get gold, but is this worth it?
I mean, Cross is up there too, by the way, so they're both going through it. They're going to trade a bot side inhibitor for objective gold. They will get a teleport out of Elias, but certainly a trade to be had.
Well, I don't disrespect the trade just because you're down in gold, and technically speaking, getting the bounty does give you quite a bit of gold. I think they got 2 bounties, so they do get quite a lot of gold, and they were going to lose a turret anyway down there just because of how the pushing was going to work out with having Baron buff and all that. So I can see in their eyes why this could have been a much better trade. Will it work out long run or long term? Who knows? Because now you give an open lane for Nodal to just push into and try and close out the game, and that can be really scary. But apart from that, I can see the reasoning behind it.
It is worth mentioning that there is always that rule of dropping 1 inhibitor can be a dangerous thing to do if you only have 1 inhibitor taken, because it opens up just a lane where you get bonus XP and gold every time pushing in, and most teams can manage one wave of supers. The only problem I have with it on the bot side specifically is that you have that lane pushing hard when Dragon is going to be the next really neutral that you want, and I just don't think ISU are ever going to get push in that lane and get vision because they have supers coming down bot side.
Yeah, that's a scary part to go against. Like you're pretty much always on a lane disadvantage with having that inhibitor down. But I do think that they have to find some way to find gold, and that's probably the safest option to find gold. It's getting that bounty gold up there while they are losing something in the other side of the map.
And a low-key thing to mention when we talked about draft of the shielding power, Evanlai and Love Eagle are very so much online item-wise. They both have Moonstone, or one of them has Moonstone Renewer down. Got Imperial Mandate for Love Eagle as well. So the shielding is very much already here for Nigel's last tiles, and there's no Serpent's Fang even done just yet to compete.
They really are looking forward here, but I don't think you find much value cross. Okay, actually, this could be good. Ultio is really far away.
Evanlai had to flash out. Nodal's getting chased down by Drew Dozer. He's just holding on to that Ragnarok. There is the Omu's pass. Ultio might just burn down Drew Dozer. Has the Chrono Shift on top of him. He wants to go down, but he has no friends around him. Cross and Meslo, they're just pushed off of it, and the main damage dealer for ISU is down. Nigel's last tiles with a couple more puffs of the Breath of Light nearly find a kill on a Meslo. And more space for Nigel's last tiles to take control of this game.
And the idea to try and gold kill Nodal there wasn't necessarily bad. And they were fighting where Ultio wasn't really close by. But at the end, it doesn't work out that well. They just lose the Cassiopeia. Elias' ultimate there was so impactful because of the amount of space that it created. And it's just going to keep on being like this because they don't have the damage to close out on kills. Meslo.
Oh, he had the Stormbreaker away. Still getting rooted up though. Good double stuff for Temples, but Elias is free firing. They drop the Kindred ult. Finally, everyone's in it. Meslo fighting through. They are going to find the shutdown onto Nodal. Good ultimate there from Cross, who flashes forward. He wants to find more of these kills, but the shielding from Love Ego keeping him topped off. Drew Dozer and teleported behind. Good spot there. Ultio's going to fall. Good petrifying gaze. That's double shutdowns for the Redbirds, who are not out of it yet.
Barely up in 3 seconds. They can actually go for this.
This would be massive to stall out the game, and TDS, that's exactly what the Redbirds still need to do. They're still waiting for this Kindred and Cassiopeia to become a huge threat. Baron would buy them, what, like 5 minutes of time here?
Yeah, this is Baron. So, yeah, because it's not going to be Soul at this point. Dragon is not going to be the soul, so does not define the game. They are not going to lose the game out after this. Cross gets, I think, 1 stack after that kill, or actually, how many stacks does Cross have at this point? He probably already has 4. So he's...
No, he doesn't!
Cross is doing horrible in the stack department. I don't know how the hell are you doing this bad as a Kindred, but, well, apart from that, they do find time thanks to the fact that they get this Baron. There's no soul or actual soul at this point, so it's not going to be a game-defining moment, and they can buy themselves 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes for 1 more item on the Cassiopeia, 1 more item on the Kindred. It can work out, but it's really difficult because you still are really far behind to this Draven and this Aurelion Soul.
Yes, I think this is like one of those rare, weird interactions about Kindred's passive. Is Drew Dozer, hold on, he's gonna get completely caught here on the sideline, and he's just dead. There's nothing he can do. Great pick. Elias gets the kill, and that Baron buff knocked off of 1 member, and it's a key one to lose again for the Redbirds.
Yeah, we honestly could have just ignored that happening. Because it was going to happen at the end. They probably are going to lose the inhibitor once again, but the game doesn't end as long as they don't lose out on the turrets. That's the important part.
They're holding strong with that line of inhibitors, at least for now. Cross taking a good amount of damage, though. Zilean has that extra wave clear ability with those double bombs, so they're not going to be able to get a wave up towards these Nexus turrets. And I love just how their Ivern and Asol work together. Drop one of those brushes, and then Elias sits in it and spews Breath of Light. Just another funny little interaction.
Things that you don't take into account much, but it works out so well. As Drew Dozer will spawn in 1 second, so now you do have your members to try and defend the base. You did lose. Oh wait, okay, Olaf has ulti, should be able to escape.
Yeah, but he's holding on to it for a long time as well. Drew Dozer has been able to walk all the way up, has to flash over the wall. Love Ego gets stunned up. That's the Janna, who mainly has a Monsoon just to knock everybody off of her. Ultio takes a big piercing arrow, and ISU once again stand up tall in their base.
A piercing arrow to the face, and that stops the push from being much worse. Than that piercing arrow could have actually stopped Too Crucial Baxter, but they are buying time for themselves. The goal difference is not that big when you look at where both of these teams are. The problem is that they need to find ways to make this Kindred have value and to give the Cassiopeia time to have value as well. More items means they probably are going to be able to kill targets, but it's going to be difficult. It's really going to be difficult, and there's still no Serpent's Fang on Nausicaa.
Yeah, he gets the LDR done, but would have liked the Serpent's Fang a bit more. I feel like this is a perfect situation for it. The thing I wanted to say really quickly is, I know Kindred stacks, they transition from like those smaller jungle camps to like the Barons, the Dragons, but I think that only happens once Kindred hits that 4 stack mark. So if you're perennially stuck below 4, it's always going to be those enemy small jungle camps that are your stacks, and with this game state, Cross can never get to them.
Oh, Cross is dead.
He's going to pop Lamser's Respite.
He has 2 ultimates.
Respite. He does have that's the one thing about the Redbirds, right? They have 2 bailout ultimates for getting picked, but that's not going to be up for another 60-ish seconds, and the push is still going here for Nigel's last tiles.
He has 2, but he loses both of them. Both of them are useless. They end up dying. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, luckily for them, there's not much to take without Baron for Nigel's last tile, so I don't think it's going to end up costing them. And Ultio might get picked here in the mid lane. He cleanses the Stormbreaker Stun, flashes away. The bear is still hunting him down. On the top side, though, Drew Dozer is also going to get a catch onto Elias under turret, who is dead. The Sky's Descent doesn't save him. Nodal next to be picked. Good flash away. Drew Dozer gets another. Ultio dies in the mid lane. It's a catastrophe for Nigel's last tiles.
How did this happen? Ultio gets picked up, we saw that, but they also lose out on Elias in top lane and on Nodal. There's a teleport here. They are going to try and take turrets. There's so much gold left standing.
Easy first mid turret. They're going to keep to push up. The death timers are super long by this point. All 3 of those people falling are going to be up for 20 seconds. This will be at least another turret in the mid lane.
Well, knock down. Cross getting a mark.
Oh my god, he's gonna do it, TDS. He's gonna do it.
Let's go. He doesn't even get the mark from killing Aurelion, by the way. Like, Aurelion dies for the first time, he doesn't even get that.
It's insane to me that he actually might get 4 marks in this game.
Will he?
That's flash down from Lovigo, by the way. 1 chains of corruption.
50 seconds for the Ocean Soul. So this is crucial for the side of ISU, actually, because there's Janna Ivern on the other team. You need to not allow them to get the dragon.
Can't let him set up whatsoever. This Cassiopeia is at the mark we need her to be at. 4 items. Drew Dozer has to be that big time threat on the Cassiopeia. This fight might actually steal the game with how late we are into it.
Yep. Could be a really big difference maker, actually. So they need to pull it off. We need to see them pull it off here. Will they? It's something I'm not sure, though.
But we can see already, TDS, is the vision line. I love this from Nigel last time, how aggressive they're setting up. They want to get a pick before this, and Mezzo's going to be the target. Stormbringer's out. They still have Lamb's Respite. They still have the Chrono Shift, but they have Ultio, and he's dead already. Another big pick for the Redbirds right before this critical Ocean Soul. Meslo's going to get burned down. The Chrono Shift dropped on his head. The Zillion ult is going to run out. Does Meslo die before it ticks down? No, he gets the big heal. Sky's Descent drops down. Elias does a huge amount of damage. Drew Dozer is dead. Now they're running down Nausicaa. Nodal fights that kill. Elias on the backline burns down Meslo. It's Cross in the middle of everybody trying to just steal away this dragon. Can he even find that? He doesn't even want it, though. He'll lose the game if he doesn't hop out. The Ivern route will save him for the time being, but look who's on the flank. It's Elias who burns him down for his 3rd kill of the fight, and it wasn't pretty, TDS, but Nigel's last tiles are going to send us the distance.
How the hell did they win the fight when Ultio dies so early? That could have been game defining, but ISU decides that they want the dragon more and they ignore the enemy team. The Aurelion Soul is still alive. They focus so heavily on keeping Maslow alive, and that just means that now there's a good chance for the game to end completely here. There is just 1 minion left. If they kill this, maybe it's enough. Drew Dozer, Nausicaa in 1.
I don't think they got it. I think they just burned the Baron down. Drew Dozer's is up. It's over. We're going to a game 3. My God, was it murky. Nigel's last tiles, they're still alive and kicking as that 23rd seed from all the way back at the Swiss stage.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this should be happening, Slayer, but it's happening. It's a game 3 to define who gets out of here. And honestly, I think Tile looking much better after getting back their actual support. First of all, Lovigo actually making a difference here, but their end game decisions are really questionable. They had such a huge lead, but they are not able to close it out effectively as quickly as possible. And that can be something to put our eyes into going into the third game, because that's the point where there's a lot of pressure. And a team that doesn't have this sort of good ideas to how to close out the game can be put in a horrible spot.
It's funny, TDS. We know that ISU struggled in the early game all GSL long, and we know that Nigel's last tiles, they kind of struggled to close out games. So it's kind of it's like those two tectonic plates just slamming into each other. Somebody has to go by. Somebody has to succeed.
Someone has to fail.
And somebody has to fail and dip down under, right? So not much more to talk about with that game too. I mean, there was a lot of slip-ups, a lot of mistakes on either side, but Nigel's last tiles, they come out on top. And I know the only thing on everybody's mind, I know it's on mine, is what does this game 3 draft look like? We are in Fearless, and this is where Fearless really comes out to shine. We're going to go to a quick break. We'll figure out what side selection looks like for the Redbirds and what that draft looks like with so many champions off the board on either side. You're not going to want to miss it, guys. Stick with us through this break.
Chemically brought down on its knees with every breath that I breathe. Clenched fists and gritting teeth. Tonight the energy flowing in me is waiting for relief. Thunder beneath my feet. I sight you on my life until the dawn. The darkness falls and I lose control. Electricity, a part of me that's under pressure. Charged up, my fuse igniting. A sight you wanna see. I'm outside, pointing to the sky. Gonna make the earth shake, cause you can't contain me. Voltage burst through the black of my eyes. Put my finger on the trigger and I'll shock you, baby. Against the odds, until the dawn. The darkness falls. I feel it in my bones. A spark to lead us through the shadows. Can I fight the way before me? It's coursing through my soul. A road to guide us through the sorrow. Can I calm this storm inside me? I feel it in my bones. A spark to lead us through the shadows. Can I fight the way before me? It's coursing through my soul. A road to guide us through the sorrow.
Fellow armsmen, I ask you, will you follow me tonight to break their spine and reclaim what once was mine? Those cravens backstabbed me, deceived me. Never shall I tolerate their crimes again. Now let the hunt begin. Oh, 7,000 souls scared and daunted, such a tale of woe. Not too long ago, this village was a golden scene of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer. Fellow warriors, I ask you, should my campaign come to an end, there's way more to avenge. Oh, 15 million souls living in this realm without much hope. Not too long ago, this kingdom was a golden state of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order.
Welcome back, everybody, to what I am now going to dub the Game 3 day of the GSL stage. I have done the research, TDS. Every one of the 3 series we have today, we're not counting the Fly Fan forfeit, all right? That's not counting. But all the other games have all gone the distance. They are all either about to get to a Game 3. I believe one of them is already drafted for Game 3.
Okay.
And those are the best kind of days, TDS, especially with this matchup that we have today here between Nigel's Tiles and Nigel's Last Tiles and ISU, because boys, it's been certainly wacky to watch.
Exactly. It's been a weird affair so far. That being said, I want to believe this is the most important match because it's only tiers for whoever gets out of here, so for whoever loses here. The other two matches, they still have one more live, so you get chances to see them once again. But this may be the last time you see either of these two teams, and I think this makes it even more exciting. And honestly, both of these teams can honestly take it. I don't think either has the edge over the other, or at the very least, it doesn't feel like that.
No, I would certainly agree. We're into the game number 3 draft, and one thing that we have that has been a constant is the sides. So
Yep.
ISU Redbirds, they wanted blue side again, so they will stay on it. And well, like I mentioned, we're in Fearless, so that means that a lot of these champions are taken away on both sides. You can see that reflective in the bans as we go forward. But so far, well, there's the Senna that I was expecting. But Hui and Oriana, I mean, they've just been out of this series the entire time. It's not even Fearless that's keeping them out.
Yeah, it's just a fear from the teams themselves, not even Fearless draft. So I have the puns for them as well. I can think of that as well. I may be a caller, but I know jokes sometimes. Sometimes, not always. What I know is that, and we were talking about this with our lovely producer PBS, Karma getting banned once again, and he was saying how that may be a bit worrisome for ISU. We will have to wait and see what their champ pools are going to be looking now, because there is a lot of champions still open. Brand is one of the champs that I think I've seen quite a lot of banned away, and now we actually get the chance to see ISU play it. A really strong jungler that can farm effectively, can be flex, but I haven't seen that flex in years. So I'm not expecting that to happen. And Tile taking the barriers themselves, taking barriers into their own hands.
Very interesting to see that ISU on the blue side opted to ban Smolder in this game 3.
Yep.
I would expect that having to be a ban for Nigel's last tiles, and they would have slammed it. But I guess NACL and company aren't too confident playing that. So the Smolder's not going to be in here because of bans. Volibear and Varus, they both sport a V at the start of their name, but they also are both very good meta picks. So we've already seen in this series. So I would expect that Volibear to be top side. Well, it could be jungle actually, but the Varus solidified as the Zac is locked in. ISU are chefing something up again. They can't both go jungle.
Yeah, could be Sack Top. I think Sack Top makes more sense if you have the brand around you, but we know with flexes that this could go anywhere. So yeah, this could still completely fine be Sack Top, Joe in the mid lane, Brand in the jungle. That can still be happening. So nothing out of the ordinary just yet. It's when we get the Nautilus, or not the Nautilus, let's say Sejuani, that's where we begin to be scared about everything, as the Aatrox SP was banned in the previous 2 games. So now we finally get Tile playing their Aatrox, a champion that it seems like they really like. And this second round of bans is going to be quite fun to see what they take away.
Nodal, you think they'll go on that Aatrox? We'll see where all 3 of those fit, because the kind of argument I can make for ISU's comp is, while it would be less meta-centric, you could also send Zac jungle, Brand mid, and Yone top if you really wanted to.
True.
They all would succeed in those lanes as well. But with these picks, it does mean that we're going to see a lot more bottom lane-centric bans. And that could potentially mean Tempos' champ pool, which has already been pinched pretty heavily, like we talked about, get pinched more. The Melio off the board as well. And I'm really curious to see what NACL and company want to go for, given these bans.
Yeah, overall, there's a lot of focus towards the bot side, and there could still be one more if ISU wants to ban anything here. Although, with the mid lane pool still quite a bit open, I can see them also trying to go there and take away something from the side of Tile. But bot lane seems to be the name of the game here, and there's a lot of champions that are taken away. Surprised that we haven't seen a lot of Lucian so far this series, and which a lot of teams do like to play around the Lucian Melio bot lane. Lucian Nami as well is still open, and with the Blitzcrank taken away, you have to know what you want to go for here. I could see Lulu being an option here for Tile, although with the barriers potentially going with Lethality, it may be an angle for the Nautilus, for maybe a Leona or a Rel. A Rel has it, we haven't seen much Rel at all so far, and Beck seems to be the choice, so they are looking for a lot of aggression on the side of Tile.
Beck's lock-in for Nigel's last tiles makes me believe they're expecting Drew Dozer to be on the Yone, as Beck's best counter utilization is against dash-based champions, so could be really good into that Yone. Nami gonna be a hover and lock-in.
Okay.
Now for Tempos, so it might see the Lucian here.
Yeah, maybe. We end up going for the Lucian here with the Nami. There is the potential, because there's a potential to play Brand Nami down there in the bot lane. So when Lucian Nami was at its peak, it was when Nami had the interaction to go for the Thunder Lords, right? Or Thunder, it's not Thunder Lords, Electrocute.
Electrocute, yeah.
There was a variation where you could go Nami Brand with the Electrocute, and you can actually pop the passive as well. And I think that's the idea ISU's opting in here, because obviously Trundle was picked as well. This means topside full AD. We have Nami, Brand in the bot lane, and a boring Nautilus in the other. Forget about the Nautilus. We are focusing on the Brand Nami here. It's a double-edged sword, because it can work out great. It can burst out champions, but you're also playing a non-typical bot lane. This also means that if the top side of the map is not doing that great, and all your damage is on the Brand, if he misses his combo, then it's really easy to actually blow them up. So ISU playing with fire, both as a joke and quite literally, and I'm excited to see how it's going to work out.
And TDS, you're rolling all the puns out for one final draft. I like it. You're also, Brand, it can't be easier to get the combos down later in the game once you have like your rallies completed, all these slows and such, but that is basically all your AP damage indexed into this Brand, who is somewhat reliant on getting set up for that AP damage to come through. So this Volibear can likely itemize pretty armor heavy. I just assume Love Ego could do a very similar thing as well, especially given the fact that the AD damage is really only coming from melees with Yone and Trundle. So this could be a big game for the front line for Nigel's Last Tiles. Obviously, Aatrox is also going to be able to be somewhat beefy as a bruiser, and if you're in those sweet spots, you heal like a tank.
Exactly, like quite literally. So it's important to see how this game is going to turn out. I want to go back to that point you were making with the brand being able to hit those combos easier. And I want to add, because there's so much CC on the side of ISU, I can see that being even more of a factor, because you technically are going against immobile champions in the form of the Barrys and the Becks. She does have her ultimate, but you go forward and that's kind of predictable. So I can see that being a good factor for ISU to get the most value possible out of this brand, but this is not the kind of last game I was expecting, and this is the beauty of Fearless, that you get this sort of wacky, or not wacky, of weird drafts out of nowhere, and there's a lot of possibility for both of these teams to make the most out of their champions.
When we talk about fight styles, because it's interesting, I think both these teams are sort of playing for skirmish or fights. The dichotomy of the ways they want to do it is going to be very fun to watch. For this ISU squad, they've got a bit of a wombo cooking up, right? Like they're going to have a Zac jumping in, get a bunch of knockups to set up a big Fate Sealed, get Lockup City going, and then obviously you'll have the Brand who drops a Pyroclasm. There's just a bunch of damage they're trying to burst all at once, get them all congealed into a ball. But on the other side, Nigel's Last Tiles, they kind of want to look to maybe like pick off one member and play a maybe longer fight. I see this as a lethal tempo out of Ultio on this Varus, so that's going to be on hit, who likes those longer engaged scuffles, or he can start attacking doubling up on that attack speed. And any fight with an Aatrox in it, you want an elongated fight where you're getting kills so you can keep getting that World Ender reset. So we'll see whose ideal can really prevail once we get to those skirmishes. But I just love games, TDS, where both teams are indexing for the fights.
Exactly. Both of them wanting to go toe-to-toe in how fighting will work out. And I think it makes sense with how the series has developed. You don't want to give up early game, because fighting has been so pivotal, and being really far down early on can be detrimental for the fighting later on in the game. That being said, they are still sticking to their ideas, because there's in my ideas of how to play the game, I think ISU has much better scaling compared to Tile. But there's still ways for both of them to try and fight against each other. And to bring it back up once again, this is the potential last game for either of these teams. So they don't want to leave anything here. They want to go with everything they have, throw hands out there, and try and win it out with what they love to play and what they want to play.
It's interesting, even more interesting when you think about the fact that the Redbirds, I know we keep harping on the fact they've struggled in the early game, but we've seen the two results you can get out of it in this series already. The first game, they fall behind early, but they got to those break points they needed with some of those scaling champions. We saw like the Tristana finally come online in that game. Forward Drew Dozer's like the big threat there. And you had Cross as well on the Vi that was doing really well to set up for those carries. But then the second game, right, they fall behind like even harder early into these snowballing champions, and it's too much for them. They can't overcome it. Even the fact that Nigel's Last Tiles were at points trying to hand them, put their hand on the door to open it. Not actually trying to hand them the game, but they mistakenly set up for them to come back into this one. We'll see if ISU can come on out top in the early game and we don't have to have these conversations, or which one of those two outcomes will be a reality if they do suffer the early game. All that and more coming at us now, TDS. We're live on Summoner's Rift for the last time. The only elimination game, not counting forfeits, involved in the GSL of this weekend so far. To start the weekend, somebody is going home. Will it be Nigel's Last Tiles or the ISU Redbirds?
And it all starts with a staring competition, because neither team wants to go really aggressive into the enemy jungle. And I just want to bring this up quickly, Slayer. What do you feel about the new letter type? I don't know how it's supposed to be said. Like the style,
the
of the
fonts?
letters.
The fonts.
Yeah, the fonts. Yeah, that's the word.
So I enjoy it.
I think it looks nice.
I think it looks nice. I'm pretty certain this is the font style that is on. I don't know if it's the Korean server or the Chinese server, but I'm pretty sure this is the font style they have on one of the two of those.
Okay.
Like league clients, and they've had it for a while. So I might be wrong, but that's what I read it as, because when you watch like clips of Faker streams or you're watching clips of LCK or whatever, I'm pretty sure this is the text they have.
It looks neat. I think that it looks much cleaner in general, and it feels much better to see. So I like the change from Riot. Also, late invade coming in by the side of Tile, so they wanna try and put pressure onto Cross early on. And we do not talk about Kindred from the last game. Cross was so far behind in terms of marks that it was weird to see as the Kindred, and that actually mattered in some of the fights because of the range discrepancy. This time around, going to be playing the Trundle will have a bit more pressure early on, something that was important in the early game in the first game. And if he falls behind thanks to this late invade coming in by Evanlight, that can be quite detrimental for them. I don't think they actually noticed this, although there was a bit of walking back from the brand to check this out. And I think they know now that the Bolivar was down here. But overall, it's a smart plan.
Yeah, they do get some pings. They just pinged that he was on his Krug. So I think this will just be a vertical jungle from Cross. Once he finishes his Wolves, I'm sure he'll path up. He's got a ward on the Wraiths as well. Or I guess not Wraiths, sorry. Old Head coming out there. Chickens, Raptors, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, it'll just be a vertical jungle. And I think that works out for both these junglers, because while they both can skirmish pretty heavily level 3 if they meet each other in the jungle, also both kind of content with a full clear.
Yeah, overall, it's not bad for them. Obviously, you want to try and make a fight happen if possible, and there's a slight dive attempt even here. Tempos is level 1.
Yeah, Tempos already used the one ability. They flash right on top of the Nami. There's first blood coming across. Evanlight's going to fall to the turret aggro as Nausicaa will find a trade. It's actually Love Ego that picked up first blood, and Nausicaa gets the trade kill, so I feel like both squads walking away happy with that outcome.
I feel like the mistake there is how Evanlight approached that, because you want your Nautilus to be the one tanking first. Oh no.
All right, well, here's the response. Cross has shown up on the top side. Meslo has the passive and will happily go down to Nodal to set up Cross, who has to flash away. Cross will follow. One more slam of the club will get it. Both junglers on the map early, and it's resulting in kills in the top bot lane.
That was a scary, but importantly, the difference there, one was a dive, the other was just a simple gank, and it works out much better for the side of ISU, because once again, and talking back into that dive initially on the bot side, I like the idea, but I feel like the steps were mistaken there. Love Ego had to be the first one tanking. They didn't have space to flash away, so I think that the flash was way too preemptive, and at the end it bites them back, as Meslo maybe that here.
Yep, they're going for another dive. Meslo, no passive. And this will be a lot easier. Great flash, though, from Meslo at 1 HP. And he will end up surviving the dive with teleport to get back.
Able to run away, blowing the potential there by the side of Tile, and Meslo surviving in a really good spot, and another gang. Once again,
Ice is out of mana. He has flash. He's going to go for it over the wall. He will, and Cross with his flash down won't be able to get it. And this game keeps mirroring itself with another low HP flash, this time for Niall's last tiles.
Yeah, but this time around, both junglers being hyper aggressive, going for early ganking, and this is the modus operandi from both of their champions. Bolivar wants to gank early, Trundle likes to gank early, so you can find a lot of value early on, but it's been working much better for Cross, because he got 2 kills, or he got a kill without dying himself, and then he blew the flash from Elias without having to use anything from Drew Dozer. As long as he keeps that sort of value up from the enemy team, he's just finding way more value.
If he can push that as we get Grubs and Dragons spawning. It looks like, with the way Meslo's setting up, he's in the enemy jungle getting some wards down. So despite the fact the Scuttle Crab is there, signaling Cross wants to go for the Grubs, and it's going to help out that Evanlight is on that bot side going for a clear himself.
Exactly. Now maybe a bit more of a breathing chance to not actually be fighting all around. Once again, Cross getting the early objectives. He has been really good at that all series long. Actually controlling a lot of the early Grobs up there, controlling the early dragons as well. So overall has been a good objective series for Cross.
And he gets all 3 of them, like you were talking about. Evanlight is going to jump right under that dragon. He has 2 really good wave states. Elias, Ultio, and Love Eagle are all doing a really good job freezing their opponents out of their farm right now. Nausicaa is going to fall behind a bit. Drew Dozer being melee, and Evac's going to fall behind, and that creates space for the Dragons. So, love the answer of Nigel's last tiles. This is what you want from a game 3.
Yeah, and a similar matter to what they did in the previous game, also controlling the early laning stages themselves, being able to get that sort of push into control, not allowing a lot of space. And if they can find a lot of value this early on, especially having auto-attacking bearers and also the Becks having a lot of value early on, could actually turn out really great. But after that early start, the game has gone a bit quiet compared to what was happening before.
Yeah, everybody wants to take a breath and decompress a bit here, but the gold lead is still in the hands of Nigel's last tiles because those CS leads are starting to balloon a little bit. I know there's still waves to be caught, but at least on the bot side, NACL struggling to get his farm down, and also struggling because he's eating dredge line hooks to the face. Takes the piercing arrow as well. Top side, we're bouncing, baby. Meslo drops his ult down. World Ender the answer from Nodal, who wants to respect the absurd healing of a Zac top.
Yeah, but there's absurd healing in Nodal as well, so it's kind of heal against heal who can be the most absurd healing champion, and it looks like both of them are not giving anything up. And in the bot side, there was a bit of a slight fight, but nothing out of the ordinary. Ultimate's not hit yet for either of the bot laners, so it's not like you're going to achieve much down there. And Youngers haven't gotten anything meaningful either in terms of ultimates.
Asuka, though, he has his ultimate. He's going forward. Immediately drops power class him. Eats a dredge line. They're going to look for the turn. Chains of Corruption not going to land. Oh, not even available. Ultio, though, is going to burn down. Has to flash the pillar. Great position there from Cross to even force that flash. And both of those summoners keely down for the Nigel's last tiles bottom lane.
They do get the advantage thanks to the fact that they blow 4 summoners from the bot lane on the side of tile. It's just much more useful for them. And once again, Chains goes wide.
I swear, most missed ultimate competitive. And I will say, as having played a lot of Varus, it's not an easy ult to land, but you just see it whip so much.
Yeah. Should be much more effective than that.
Nonetheless, though, this game's still within striking distance for both squads. And going back to that talk we had as we got into Summoner's Rift, right, is that in this comp, ISU, they don't necessarily have to win early. They just need to survive it. And while they are down, this isn't a lead that they can't regain with the scaling we've talked about they have encompassed in their kit.
Exactly. They may be down in gold, but they are doing a really good job at keeping themselves as close as possible. As another trade here, but Evan is here. Oh, Meslo
going for the heals. Immediately starts bouncing. Good double bounce back. And look at the healing that Zac can get going. Assuages Evan Live even going forward with that 2v1.
It makes it really difficult to follow up on it. Elias, maybe not really good. Oh,
Dredgeline goes around the minions into the Shadow Surge. Has to use the Fate Seal to get away. And Drew Dozer will survive. But these pick plays are getting dicier and dicier. World Ender out for Nodal. He knows that there's no ult on Meslo. The Healing takes a turret shot. Goes into the passive mode. Can he congeal in time before Nodal kills him off? Very low health, utilizing the Qs. Will he get it? He will. The sweet spot sinks through, and finally a solo kill topside.
And because Evan Live was up there, we see the plates going down here in favor of the side of ISU, but still getting that kill finally. Oh, wait.
Oh, Chains of Corruption in the Dredge Line. It's a great CC combo. Does Ultio have enough damage? Gets Lethal Temple proc. NACL having to flash the piercing arrow as these skirmishes continue minute after minute.
Yeah, they end up having to flash there, and it wasn't necessarily the best trade you were looking for at the brand Nami, but love the idea there. Love Ego with a great hook, and then Ultio following up really well with the Chains of Corruption. Because it's not lethality barriers, though, you don't go for the combo as quickly as possible, but it still works out really well, blowing the flash from NACL.
See if they can punish for it. Lavigo is going to find Tempos.
It's a cute
Ultio didn't have the wave pushed up, so I couldn't get much more than that. On the other side, though, look what Cross is getting up to.
Once again.
Hello? All right, into the depth charge. He's going to eat a bubble, though. A full NACL combo. Teleport coming across. Meslo's here as well. Vigo's going to die before the second TP lands. Meslo gets that kill. Elias shows up, but too late to the party. Kill ISU.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the idea was there, but it certainly didn't work out that well, because yes, Lavigo does get the initial engage, but quick teleport response, and then also not having the best of responses coming in by Elias. That being said, it was a Meslo's teleport. So Nodal has a bit of free time up there in the top lane, and I think he's freezing the wave, so actually denying a lot of value off the Zac.
And, I mean, look at the CS difference. Top right now, TDS. I know picked up that kill. Meslo did get a kill on the bot side, but that is, I believe, you know, nearly 2 kills worth of gold down.
Yep.
Just CS. Oh, that Chains of Corruption landed. Ultio, good dodge on the W as well. Or blocking around these stuns. NACL answers with his own flash, but he's not going to be able to get away from the Dredge Line. The CC combo, Evan Light comes through. Piercing arrow, kill Ultio.
It took them a while because Nausicaa was actually threatening quite a bit onto Ultio, but Ultio just moving around, fancy feet, and escaping their own nodal.
Okay, pops the world ender. The pillar doesn't get a ton of value, so he's good. He's fine.
Exactly. Perfectly fine there.
We might fight this out. Meslo is going to flash into a sweet spot. Hello, cross flashes under turret as well. It ends up going 1-for-1, but Nodal will take that.
Yeah, but a 1-for-1 in that situation is really good for Nodal. He doesn't even need to blow flash. It's 2 flashes and a 1-for-1 for the 1-for-1, and also getting those turret plates down there at the bot side, plus the dragon that they were collecting. Evanline just getting the objective value. Overall, so far, much better trading going in favor of Tile. They need to keep on ramping up this sort of objectives because once again, there could be much better scaling for the side. Oh, Nausicaa.
Ooh, all right, it's deja vu. We have another TP onto the turret, but will Nausicaa die first? No, able to survive through. Shadow Surge going to land. Double fear there for Elias. Does kill off Nausicaa. Drew Dozer does get a good combo down onto Ultio, who's being targeted by himself. Fake sealed onto 2. Can he burn through that? Taking Nautilus. Lovely go flashing away. He won't get a kill. Ultio has another. Nigel's last tiles. They're ramping up just like you wanted, TDS.
Tile are just finding every bit of value. Ultio more than likely getting this first turret block down here, denying the brand and the Nami. And in the top side, I don't know if we could. Okay, no, he revived, so it's not going to be shown. But Cross suicided to the turret. Maybe in fear of Nodal, who teleported up there in the top side, but everything just went completely wrong for the side of ISU in that play. Great hook by Love Ego, by the way.
Great hook indeed. Those dredge lines have been very, very precise, and
yep.
We talked about earlier, ISU, they may have been down, but they weren't out of it much. But now this is more reflective in game 2. That goal lead, 4,000 at 14 minutes is pretty dire.
It's dire, but it's not dooming just yet. There's still a chance for you to actually turn this around, as Love Ego waiting on the side, maybe wanting to force a fight, but there's no one close by, so nothing is going to happen here. And the game once again just calms down for a bit. No objective really in the map, so there's nothing to actually fight for here.
Well, I don't think Nodal cares about that. He's fighting. Bounce comes out for Meslo, but Cross brought a friend this time. Tempos is here as well. Nodal knows he's as good as dead. He's gonna have to fight his way out. Can he get Meslo again? No. Good stuff from Cross. Tempos picking up the kill. Unkillable Aatrox finally dies.
Yeah, there's actually 2 more friends for Meslo up there. He was fighting alone, but he's not alone anymore. And getting the kill into Nodal, quite nice. Not going to get the turret, which is unlucky. Oh, Chains coming through.
Chains land. Cross able to tank it up. Doesn't have the subjugate up, but he likes his odds with Nausicaa here. Drops the power chasm. Ultio's gonna stay safe. Big fear comes across from Elias. Gonna pick up 1. Can he find Meslo? No, he's healing through it. The burn killed off Ultio in the background. And here comes Evanline. Drops the Stormbringer. Zac passive down. Cross dead to the gray screen. And he's gonna have his jungler join in with it. But here comes Drew Dozer trying to put his bit in with Tempos. The 2 pair trying to get something done with Evanline. Gonna catch him out of the spirit form, gets the stun. Drew Dozer going back in with a fake seal, but a great fear from Alliance turns the play on its head. Nigel's last tiles, they may have been seeded 23rd, but they want a top 12 spot, TDS.
This is the Bolivar I was promised, by the way. The one that rams into the team fight and actually does something. Such a well-performed fight there by Evanline. And even though Ultio ends up getting killed in a really effective manner there by Nausicaa, it doesn't really matter because you have the rest of the members just collapsing onto that fight. And that is a fight that happened when Nodal was dead. So now in future fights, there may be an Aatrox that can actually impact the fight in a much more chaotic manner.
That could spell doom for ISU, who are now firmly down a lump sum of gold. They have objective bounties to their hands as they haven't taken down a single turret yet. The mid-game that Nigel's last tiles needed, they've arrived at.
Exactly. It's been working out much better for them. And here, multiple members with first items completed, but crucially also, item timings by the time the 3rd dragon is coming through. Yes, it's Cloud Soul, it's not the best soul, but you want to try and rush the game as much as possible if you're Tile, and trying to push the soul as quickly as possible, push the Elder as quickly as possible. It's going to make a difference there. So Elias, he sniffs something, but he doesn't know they're there.
They're going deep though to try and kill off this Vex, who is 4-0-3 by the way, with a huge bounty on Elias's head. And now we'll finally run into Cross, who is alone. Good fear. Tempo's coming over. Elias should be safe. He can just walk back to his tier 2 just fine.
Yeah, but should be safe, and it's going to be safe are two different things there. He may end up just dying without like this.
Well, look who might die. Okay, doesn't get pulled back with the chains. He doesn't have a turret to protect him, and Nodal knows it. Pops the one under for that speed up. And this is just not even fair, TDS. Nodal drops in an instant, or excuse me, Nodal drops Drew Dozer in an instant.
Yeah, even though it's a really good... Oh, wait.
Oh, man.
That could be a kill as well here.
Oh, my, the Varus. We got TP Central. There's 3 teleports coming through. Everybody is getting in on the action. Eslo, though, going to find Ultio. Gets a good Pyroclasm. Eveli's going to be dead soon as well. Elias looking for the trade. Will try and get onto Meslo, who will not die. Noska gets the burn kill onto Eveli, but he's on the wrong side of Summoner's Rift. Will be a sacrificial lamb. But a good punch back from ISU like they've done time and time again in this series.
Makes it be much closer than we were probably expecting in that play, and works out super effectively in that situation, as even though Nausicaa actually just finds so much value with the ultimate, he kills 2 on the side just because of the burning effect, and that's the thing that ISU needs to play off in the future. They need to play off of the brand getting the value off of his ultimate, because apart from that, everything else can be really chaotic for them.
Their other real big damage dealer that is very far from being online is Drew Dozer. Had a rough game, 0-3-0, got bullied off his waves constantly in the mid lane, and is only just arriving at that Kraken Slayer. Yone, you know, once he gets to an item point, doesn't matter his score, he'll be effective, but that feels a long ways away for Drew Dozer right now.
Yep, it's going to be a bit difficult for Drew Dozer to find the value that he probably wants to have as the Yone, as the Dragon also spawns here. It's probably going to go uncontested. You have Ultio and the Bolivar being able to just deal so much damage to this dragon, so not going to be much of an attention, or nothing of attention for the side of ISU. And now it's on the next objective. Do they play for the Baron buff? Do they play for the next dragon? Do they play for item timings? That's also something they need to ask themselves.
They also can certainly play for picks, and they're going for it. Dowser's going to land. Great CC combo from Lavigo and Elias, and they have Nausicaa killed right on cue. The picks coming through. Great Chains of Corruption. The elastic shot will come through, but look who follows. Elias goes through. Ultio's piercing arrow finds a second.
And with that, they actually can move into taking down this top lane turret. That is such a good pick. You were talking about the big potential, Slayer, and it works out massively there. Finding the pesky brand on the side, and then killing the Meslo as well as the sack there. Really good plays. They also take down the turret, plus another crash into... Okay, that is so... That is actually cute.
That's a great pillar.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, Shelly's all out of strength. So they won't get the crash onto the tier 3, but a lot more gold injected into Nigel's last tiles. They're up 5k. They have a great ward line they can set up with that top tier 2 down for Baron. They have Cloud Soul at a great pace at 23 minutes. There's a lot of good things to look forward to for the 23rd seed from OQ2.
Exactly, doing a really good job, and it looks like they don't like the 32, but the way that they were placed in the seating. They want to go higher up, and the first step is taking down ISU, and they're doing a really good job at that. ISU, still, they are not out of this game. The gold lead is not that big, and we already saw Nausicaa finding a lot of value in previous fight. If he can stack up on more items, that can be a difference maker, and objective-wise, only Baron is up, so it's not like they have to fight for anything at this point of the game.
We talked about the strength of the tile comp is pick potential. The strength of ISU's comp is Wombo, because if they can get a good Fate Seal from Drew Dozer, a bunch of interruption, just great ult from Meslo, knocking a bunch of people around with that Pyroclasm, gold lead, like you mentioned, really won't matter if those all chain together.
They have to find the perfect opportunity there, and if they can chain everything together like you're mentioning, it's probably going to work out. Well, remember that team fight in the first game, right, where Tempos had that massive surfing ultimate. If they find something similar in a small space, they can win a team fight really handily. It's finding that sort of space where they can get the team fight.
Like we've mentioned many times on this broadcast, Nigel's last tiles have always had a great early game in this series. Post 25, you could argue 20 minutes with Baron spawning is where they seem to struggle at closing out leads they get. They can't afford to do it in this game like they did in game number 1.
Oh,
all right. Drew Dozer, he whips Fate Seal. They get a great stun shake with the tidal wave, though. There goes the Nautilus. Found a second. The front line down for Tile, but Nodal's still hunting here. Drew Dozer trying to keep Cross off of his carries, but he's going forward. They have another. Ultio's down. A triple over to Nodal. You can take down my front line, but Nodal wants it all. Finds the triple to keep Tile alive in the fight.
If that could have been the Nodal potential penta there, but actually getting 3 kills crucial there. Really well played. The engage started off by the side of Tile. They were actually forcing it with the Nautilus, but because Nodal had such a great flank angle, he kills off the brand really well, and then the follow-up is really easy to go there. That being said, that is a kind of team fight we were talking about for ISU, because Nausicaa gets maximum value, Tempos gets maximum value, Drew Dozer gets really good value as well, so everything kind of working really well with each other. Can they replicate that? It's the real question going forward.
The problem is going to be, can they get that value onto one of these solo lanes? Because at this point now, Elias, 2.5 items, right, at that 22-minute mark. Very fed Vex. Nodal now, off that back, is at nearly 3 items on his Aatrox. And if you're not immediately killing off one of those two in a fight, it can get rough, like we talked about, because Tile wants those extended fights, those elongated scenes.
Yeah, they need them to work out as best as possible for them, and Lavigo is in a, oh wait, Cross actually.
Oh, he's looking for Cross with the blast cone. Elias drops the Saddle Surge. They're going forward. Elias in the middle of everybody. Can they get Cross? Drew Dozer gets a good Fate Seal. Cross will fall. Great Zonius from Elias to stay alive. Drew Dozer might get picked off. The Pyroclasm will find the kill onto Elias. Nausicaa's untouched, but so is Nodal going forward once more as the valiant hero for this Tile squad. Look at that dredge line from Lavigo. Nausicaa falls. Nigel's last Tiles turn to Baron.
And maybe they want to try and get something more here, and Baron looks like to be the choice. Dragon may be up for ISU, but the big purple worm is going to go to Tile, and they have an ultio on the Barrels auto-attacking it to that, and they also have a jungler with an actual smite to take it down. Nodal is looking so strong, but crucially in the previous fight, yes, they killed the Vex really well, but Nausicaa never had an angle to actually go into the fight. They couldn't get the damage down as, oh, Nodal.
Nodal's trying to make sure that they can still get Cloud Soul, but it might cost him. Drew Dozer teleports in. Nodal has no World Ender. Very fed, looking to heal through. Great bubble, though, from Tempo. Isn't enough to run him. No, Nodal gets another heal. Drew Dozer dies. Nodal's still up. He's still kicking. He just won't die. Finally falls the shutdown to Cross. Look at, he's free firing now onto Ultio. The lethal Tempo going absolutely crazy as this skirmish turns onto a full-blooded fight. Now Lavigo shows up. Lands the crunch line on the Meslo. Cross finally falls. Forward goes Evanline with the Stormbringer. Zack's down as well. Tempo's a bubble maybe to save him. And it will finally end the fight, but somehow again, Tile gets out.
Yeah, it is enough to actually save him, but that is a really chaotic fight. Crucially, they do take 2 Baron buffs off of the map from Tile, and they get a big shutdown from Nodal. So value is there for the side of ISU after getting the shutdown, but they are going to lose the soul. And it looks like the game is going to go towards the Elder Power Spike Slayer. This may be the Elder defining game.
You talked about earlier the heal wars up top. Now we got to see Nodal do it because, man, he was like 1 auto from death 3 or 4 times. I mean, that started out as a 1v3 against Nodal. And he's just that ahead on this Aatrox, so hard to kill. Now it's the Sterix for extra survivability. It's just such a problem in this one.
It's a really big problem, and it may be something that it's going to be difficult trying to deal with. But like, this game is just so weird in the sense that I can still see so much angles for the side of ISU to come back. 100%. Just because the brand ultimate is so big in some of these team fights, but also because there's ways to kill the backline. Like, we've seen it multiple times. Ultio is left by himself in a couple of instances, and it's really difficult for the Bears to protect himself. And Nodal may get a lot of body on the back, but look at the damage he's taking because he has no magic resistance. So he's going to take quite a lot of damage from Nausicaa. Oh.
Yep, but here they're going for Meslo. They're going for the tank, burning him down, and no pass. I mean, Meslo is dead. Tank maybe in quotation marks. Pick over to Nigel's last Tiles.
Exactly, quote-unquote tank, because that was a quick kill. They get onto the sack up there in the top lane, and now with this Baron buff remaining, they are looking to try and get a little bit more gold in their favor.
And do they already have a lot of it, TDS? It's an 8k gold lead. You can add more value with the Cloud Soul if you want to. And they're getting value with the gold here. Turn coming out, though, from Cross and company, looking to burn down Evanlai.
Oh.
Now Cross, though, has to drop the subjugate. He has the full might. Brudozer's face sealed hits absolutely nobody. Cross should be able to flash out, but Nazca now pays the price as Ultio snipes with a piercing arrow, and the base of ISU soon to crumble.
Nausicaa actually flashed in to try and kill Ultio, but paid the price with his life, and this means there's no one to clear the way. Well, actually, there is 4 members, so maybe this is going to be enough to protect it. But it's still going to be at the very least 2 inhibitors of damage coming in by Tile.
This is eerily similar to game number 2, and it might be even more. Shadow Surge down, Meslo's dead again, right off spawn. Reset for Elias, but I don't think he's gonna take that one under Nexus turrets. Regardless, just like last game, inhibitor down, Tempo's down as well. Could this just be it? The timers are desynced. You've got Nausicaa back up, should be able to clear the wave. They should be able to survive for now with Brudozer's getting back to the spirit form.
Elias is really doing so much work with this back. It's actually finding so much value. And even though it's not the end game push, it's still so much damage onto ISU. A quick reset, quite a bit of gold in their pockets to try and come back into the map. And Dragon, 3 minutes away, Baron, 2 minutes away. I can see Baron buff being the next step for Tile.
Bloom completed there. Love that from Elias. He wants to be able to burn through any target he hits with a Shadow Surge. With that, any resistances will likely be negated. But really, the only person that has magic resistance is Meslo. I mean, I'm not counting that one Negatron cloak on Cross there. So, and we already saw what happened when Meslo ate an entire combo. And we might see it again here. Shadow Surge down, has to flash through the wall. But Nodal's there and waiting. They have the Cloud Soul for the speed ups. Does this become the great race to kill off Meslo? The blast code cancel, great cancel from Nodal, and Meslo dies again, picked off by Tile.
Picked up on the side by himself, and that means that,
great flash there from Ultio, and they pop Brudozer. Look who dies, Nausicaa dies, Evanlai on the top side in an instant. This is gonna be it, TDS. The upset, imagine, becomes the reality. 23 seeded, Nigel's last tiles are gonna knock ISU out of the qualifiers with a 2-1 bout.
And I told you, Slayer, this was the game to be on tonight. Elimination matchup. The underdog ends up winning it, and full props to Tile. They played the aggressive style, and it worked out for them in the last 2 games. Huge props to them. ISU had a clear or a smart idea into what they wanted to do, but it simply wasn't enough. And at the end, now we have even more potential going forward, because Tile, they may have lost against Blue Water, if I'm not wrong, in the previous round, but here, they can be a scary team to face. Do we know who won against between Blue Water and Polestar?
I believe we do, because I think everybody covering GSL is on our game now by this point. I don't see the other streams up, so I'm assuming somebody won. We'll see if PBS can grab results as we're talking about this stuff. But the craziest thing to me, TDS, I know one of these teams that got through is kind of due to forfeit from FlyFam, but we now have the Nameless and Nigel's Last Tiles, the 23rd and 24th seed by the committee, finishing top 12 officially. Like, that's official.
Exactly. We kind of learned that the committee has made some interesting decisions into seeding. I will say I'm not one of them that actually thinks that the committee were mistaken in their seeding. I would have done something pretty similar as well, but it's great seeing how some of these teams have risen up to the seeding they were put on. And I think Tile was playing a great game and doing things in their own way that just made it really clear that they wanted to play like this. And I love to see teams were showing themselves like this. And for ISU, even if they were a higher seeded team and they did it great in the previous OQ, I feel like they always need to be on their toes, because teams like Nigel's Last Tiles can come out of nowhere and just bite them from behind and take their spot if they are not careful.
And what a game from Nigel's Last Tiles, especially Meslo had just outstanding performances in game 2 and 3 there. Also Elias as well. That Vex, you mentioned it, like the value you can get out of Vex. It's not easy to play Vex into most comps, especially a comp that kind of wants you to come into them to set up a wombo, but Elias was cooking in that game nonetheless. And man, I hope those guys are happy, because this is I gotta think this is above expectations, definitely of like the community around tier 3, but hopefully for the team as well, that they're now top 12.
And importantly, and we were talking a little bit about this off cam, it's one game now between them finishing top 8 and finishing top 16, right? Like, yes, it's still a difficult matchup because it may be against Pulsar, maybe against Blue Water, and those teams are nothing to scoff at, but they can still try and just win that one match, that one BO3, and put themselves into top 8. That's not out of the question here because they're just missing that one game. And the night or the match on that day may be completely bad for one team, and for Tile, maybe the best game they played, and they can just qualify like that. And I'm excited to see how they are going to go forward.
Certainly going to be. They always have one of those teams, right? TDS. It's like you don't want to face them because they're playing with momentum. They're playing with fire. They weren't expected to be here, and they're happy to be here nonetheless. I quickly have the feed up. It looks like, all right, so Blue Otter did end up taking the 2-1 over Polestar, so they have qualified for playoffs, which means Polestar, who had 2-0'd ISU prior, will be the matchup. It's Polestar versus Nigel's Last Tiles for the last spot in the playoffs out of Group B.
So technically speaking, in terms of strength, this kind of goes like according to what we were expecting, because Blue Otter did beat Tile, and then ISU did lose against Polestar. So now Polestar loses, and they go against Tile, which means that Tile is stronger, technically, than ISU. And whoever wins this actually could tell a story of how the group strength varies depending on the matchup. But overall, it can be exciting. I'm glad that we don't get a repeat matchup between Blue Water and Tile, and instead it's going to be Pulsar against Tile, because this can be a really exciting match.
It certainly could be, but guys, the exciting matches, they really don't stop here at all. We have, at least on the Aegis side, we have Wang's Revenge versus Castleberry tomorrow.
That's a good one.
Here, so TDS will be here covering that one. That's another elimination matchup. TDS is just rolling in these elimination matchups, man. Gordo will be back for you guys on Aegis. If I can, I think I'm very much allowed to plug where I'll be because we're technically in partnership with Aegis. Yeah, I'll be back over at the Salt Mine tomorrow to cover another great matchup. I believe we'll have TFT versus Lotus, so that will be fun. So make sure to show love if you want to come check me out on the Salt Mine tomorrow with Bonfire. But honestly, guys, show love to all these community streams, everybody covering the tier 3, because we're trying to get broadcasts and get coverage for these players and the community. So show some love to Run in the Rift, show some love to Salty Runback as well. Mad Magicals covering games on top of that. We can't rate any of them because we're the last game here. That does mean that we are the last ones to kind of close out the GSL stage, this part of it for Saturday. Make sure to go show some love on the raid we're throwing up here. TDS, it's been a pleasure getting to cast with you as always. I'll be happily back here next week, next Saturday with you. I'll be casting with you if you're here as well. Nice. Shout out to PVS behind the scenes, as always, cooking there. Enjoy what left of the weekend you guys have, but I better see you watching some more GSL qualifiers coming tomorrow. Until then, take care.
You